right, it's time to say.
Shalom, and welcome to this 50th day of the Feast of Weeks on the winter season. I am Priest Uriah, joined today by my fellow readers, fellow priests and readers, Priest Gabaria to my right, Priest Johanna to my left, Priest Rashim, and the newly apprenticed priest, AP Obadiah, AP Hezekiel, AP Kazak, and AP Nassam. Today is a very monumental, grand, magnificent day. It is indeed the 50th day of the Feast of Weeks on the winter season. In the scriptures called the Feast of Ingathering. In the New Testament called Pentecost. Let us all praise the Most High for this glorious and magnificent day. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And in this feast, we should already know, and for those who don't know, we need to be making sure that we bring our tithes on that 50th day so that we can receive that blessing from the Most High Yahweh. So throughout this class, a very unique class, as you can see for those who usually watch online, we have a different setting. This class is going to be a lot more interactive with the congregation, with those online. This is more so a Shabbat roundtable class. So if you have a lot of questions at the end, feel free to chime in. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start this class with Priest Johanna. Shalom.
Shalom. So these last 7 weeks, if you had the opportunity to watch the House of Wisdom Shabbat classes, we have been going over the series called Angels and Demons. The first week of the Angels and Demons being of Angels and Demons, Raphael. Second week, Angels and Demons, Gabriel. To the Angels and Demons, to Uriel. And to Angels and Demons of Ragil. To the Angels and Demons, Esaquel. And to the Angels and Demons, Remiel. And this last week, we did Angels and Demons, Michael. Now, all these classes show the significant roles of each angel and the influence they have had upon the church on earth in the worship of the Most High. What is the church on earth? Well, the church on earth is Israel in the seventh covenant. That is the church on earth. But the demons are antithetical to worship and to godliness. And most definitely, they are antithetical to the church on earth, the seventh covenant Israelites. Let's just say they are haters of the church on earth. Which brings me to the point of this class, the Winter Feast of Weeks. There is a spiritual warfare that the demons are waging on the church on earth. By robbery. Now, what is robbery? That is taking something by force. That's not just pickpocket. That's not just going and putting a candy bar in your pocket. No one's seen it. No one knows nothing about it. They, by force, are taking away your worship. Which brings me to this. These Satans are robbing you, and they are antithetical, making you the children of the devil because you aren't worshiping, even though you don't realize you just been robbed. You have been robbed by the adversary. So this began with the war in heaven. This is how it started. Let's go to first book of Adam and Eve, chapter 57. I'm going to have apprentice priest Kazak read chapter 57, and we'll start at verse 1 with the church on earth, or the church in heaven, at war.
This is the first book of Adam and Eve, chapter 52 and verse 1. But when Adam came out and saw his hideous figure, he was afraid of him and said unto him, Who art thou?
Who are you? He was so hideous that Adam's like, whoa, what the? Who are you? What did he say that he was?
Verse 2. Then Satan answered and said unto him, it is I who hid myself within the serpent.
Hid himself in the serpent. So we now know which Satan this is. This is the one that approached Eve. Go ahead and continue, Prince Kazak.
And who talked to Eve and beguiled her until she hearkened to my command. I am he who sent her through the wiles of my speech to deceive thee, until thou and she ate of the fruit of the tree, and ye came away from under the command of Abba.
So this serpent deceived Eve, but that's not his only goal. His goal was to bring down the church on earth, which now was fallen Adam. So he made him fall by having Eve eat of the tree of life, or the fruit of knowledge and evil. And then, therefore, she caused Adam to eat it, bringing down the fall of Adam, which brought Adam, the fall of the church on earth, down. Now, let's go to Enoch 69, confirm whom is this Satan. 69, verse 6, apprentice priest Kazak.
Enoch chapter 9, verse 6. And the third was named Gadriel. He it is who showed the children of men all the blows of death and led astray Eve.
So Gadriel is the Satan that entered into the serpent. Satan is the one that lets Eve astray. And we all know from the classes of angels and demons who Gadriel is. And Gadriel is one of the spirits of the air. Okay? Continue on, Prince Priest Kazak.
And showed the shield and the coat of mail and a sword for battle and all the weapons of death to the children of men.
So beyond just having Eve eat the apple, getting her to go astray, then she helping Adam to go astray, this Gadriel is the one that basically is the creator of war, creator of weapons. Gadriel on Satan's hand and or demon is continuing his wage of war of the church on earth. Let's go back to the book of Adam and Eve, 57, verse 5. Priest Kazak, Prince Priest Kazak.
Verse 5. Then Satan said unto Adam, thinkest thou that when I have spoken to one about anything, I shall ever bring it to him for fulfill my word?
This is what Satan told Adam. Do you really think I'm a truthful person? I'm just going to tell you something and fulfill it like I'm Abba? Do you think that I'm Abba? Well, guess what? Nope, I'm not Abba. I don't have Abba's power. I'm not a creator of anything, but maybe a lie here and there. Let's continue, Prince Priest Kazak.
Not so, for I myself have never even thought of obtaining what I asked.
What I promised. He never thought for 1 minute to fulfill anything that he promises. He is a liar. Let's go on to verse 6, Prince Priest Kazak.
Therefore did I fall, and did I make you fall by that for which I myself fell.
Whoa, that sounds vindictive. Sounds like Gadriel had a issue with Adam, like it was his fault because he was no longer amongst the angels and Elohim. So this is Adam's fault. Adam, let's go and see what Adam says about this. Go ahead and then verse 7, Prince Priest Kazak.
But now, O Adam, by reason of thy fall, thou art under my rule. And I am king over thee.
Whoa. This was the plan all along. He wanted Adam to fall so he can rule over him. Now, why is it he was able to rule over Adam? Let's see why. Continue, Prince Priest Kazak.
Because thou hast hearkened to me.
Whoa, because Adam hearkened unto him, and therefore he was able to rule over him. Continue, AP Kazak.
And hast transgressed against thy Abba.
Transgressed against the Most High. Satan, Gadriel, was able to cause by counsel, by advice, by false promises to cause Adam to not be within the obedience and commandments of the Most High Abba Yahweh. Let's go on to verse 8, Prince Priest Kazak.
And again he said, inasmuch as we do not know the day agreed upon with thee by thy Abba, nor the hour in which thou shalt be delivered, for that reason will we multiply war and murder upon thee and thy seed after thee.
Whoa. So Gadriel is making a promise. Now, this is a part where he's not lying. So Gadriel will tell a lie, but he will also tell the truth. And this truth is, I hate you. I hate you and all your descendants. I will kill you all. Why? Because I hate you. That's why. Period. That's end of story. I hate you. And any descendant that comes from you, I hate. Let's go into verse 9.
First book of Adam and Eve, chapter 57 and verse 9. This is our will and our good pleasure, that we may not leave one of the sons of men to inherit our orders in heaven.
Check that out. I mean, this is deep. This is our will, not the Most High's will. This is the will of who's our? The Satan. Gadriel's not all by himself. These are the Satans, that we may not leave one sons of the men, the righteous descendants of Adam, to inherit our orders in heaven. What is his orders? Well, they were Behemoth and Leviathan. They used to be part of the Elohim, but they fell. How did that happen? They went to war in heaven. They wanted to be over Adam and not Adam over them. They were, again, Behemoth and Leviathan, the once upon a time, the righteous Elohim. Let's go to the war that happened, starting at Enoch 69. Let's read verse 4 through 5, Apprentice Priest Kazak. Enoch 69, verse 4 through 5.
Enoch chapter 69 and verse 4. The name of the first, Jaquan.
Whoa. The name of the first. This is one of the Hasatan, one of the demons, one of the Behemoths and Leviathans, Jaquan. Go on, AP Kazak.
That is the one who led astray all the sons of Abba and brought them down to earth and led them astray through the daughters of men.
So Gazan is the one that brought down the children of Seth down the mountain and had them defile themselves with the daughters of Cain, which was a commandment by Abba Yahweh not to do. Let's go into verse 5.
And the second was named Asbeel. He imparted to the holy sons of Abba evil counsel and led them astray so that they defiled their bodies with the daughters of men.
So how do you lead someone astray? Well, you do that by giving them evil counsel. You do it by giving intentional misinformation or a lie. You tell someone something that you know will cause them strife, something that will cause them to do wickedness, by planning an ideal or a subjective point of view. Whatever it takes to get them to see things from the perspective of contrariness to what is unrighteous. This is the focal point of Satan's, and this starts in your chamber of imagery. And once you submit unto it, it's pure power for Satan and his hosts. So how does this relate to the Feast of Weeks? Let's get this in Exodus chapter 34, verse 22, and this will go to apprentice priest Nasim. Exodus 34, verse 22.
And thou shalt observe the feast of weeks, of the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the feast of ingathering at the year's end.
Thou shalt observe the feast of weeks is a commandment. For those who don't know, Exodus 34 is the true 10 Commandments. Exodus 20 was not given unto Israel as the 10 Commandments. What happened was they were busy getting their groove on with idolatry while Moses was on top of the mountain getting the Exodus 20 10 Commandments. And then when Moses came down the mountain, watching the house party of Israel in their sinful idolatry, he threw the tablets down and broke them. Therefore, they did not receive Exodus 20, 10 Commandments. After Moses got that house in order, he was called back up to the mountain by Abba Yahweh, and those commandments were replaced. And this is where Exodus 34 comes into play. Exodus 20 became statutes. Exodus 34 became the 10 Commandments. And Exodus 34:22, very clear and specific. Thou shalt observe the feast of weeks. Now, what happens when you are contrary to Abba Yahweh's 10 Commandments? What happens? Well, let's visit Cain for a minute and see what happened when he didn't do the law, statute, commandments. When Abba told Cain that your sacrifice is insufficient, it is not valid. You gave me the weakest and the smallest, the most disgusting of all your flock, and gave it to me as a sacrifice. So what happens when you don't keep law, statute, commandments? Let's go to Revelations chapter 12, and let's go to verses 9 and 10, apprentice priest Nasim.
And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of the Most High, and the power of his Messiah. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before the Most High day and night.
So when you break law, statute, and or commandment, the devil, Satan, the demons who deceived the whole world, along with all their hosts, accuses the brethren, accuses the sisters before the Most High, Abba Yahweh, day and night. In other words, they don't take lunch breaks. They don't take dinner breaks. They don't take a bath. They don't take a shower. They don't put on clean clothes. They just go right up to the court of Most High, Abba Yahweh. I got another one for you, Most High. Satan will cause you to have conception of sin in your chamber of imagery, giving you the idea of wickedness, tickling your flesh to do wickedness, and then having you follow through that evil act. Then, after he achieves what he intended for you to do or wanted you to do, then he goes to court and tells on you. He tells Abba Yahweh, hey, Abba Yahweh, I got somebody here that broke your laws, that's your commandments. Now, I'm not one to say I'm perfect in all things, considering that I'm hideous and all, but, one of your people, hey, now they sinned. Now I get to rule over them. That's exactly what happened to Cain. He was accused and found guilty. So let's talk about Cain for a second. Let's go to Genesis 4 and verse 7.
Before you do that, can I bring out something real quick?
Absolutely.
That's going to go with that. So what Priest Johanna is saying is that there are rules to this game. And even though he made a mention, I'm going to show you where Paul understood the rules to the game. We're going to go to 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter, and I'm going to read 55 and 56. And it reads, O death, where is thy sting? And O grave, where is thy victory? The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. Well, what is the law? Sacrifices. So what does it mean by the strength of sin is the law? If you trespass and you don't give a trespass offering or a sin offering, mainly a trespass offering, sin has strength. It gets to rule over you if you don't make amends for your trespasses. So Satan is sitting there with his grubby little hands, and he's in the court of the Most High saying, this guy has not atoned for his trespasses. And Abba, you said that if they didn't give a trespass offering, I get to have rule over him. So even Paul is showing you the understanding that if you don't make amends for your trespasses, sin will have the strength and the power to rule over you. This is the condition of the battle. And it's important that you understand that so you can get yourself out of this trouble that we've gotten in or gotten ourselves into, starting with our foreparents. That's it, priest.
God.
And to add on to that point, right, we're talking about trespass offerings, sin offerings, and we also have the peace and thanksgiving offerings and the free will offerings that can keep the church on earth sufficient, established, well taken care of, for lack of a better term. And then we also have the tithes being one of the most important things that we are to offer in this time for 7 weeks, hence the Feast of Weeks. As Tobias said, he said he kept the Feast of Weeks for 7 weeks. So in this 7 weeks of feasting, we should be making sure, or we should have been making sure that every week, every Shabbat, every day, whenever you got your paycheck, whatever it may be, that you render those tithes to the priesthood so we all can receive that beautiful blessing. Speaking of it, Priest Rashim, hand me one of those tithes. The House of Wisdom.
You mean to tell me it's not a $10 bill?
Oh, $10?
I thought it was a $100 bill. Hey, where's the money at? You speaking about tithes?
Yeah, we talk about tithes, crops. Priest Rashim, hand me that one too, and the wine as well. The House of Wisdom has something magnificent that was vetted by the Most High Yahweh. And Priest Rashim, grab Numbers 13 and 23. Priest Gabari made a very good point. He said, wait, it's not $10? It's not 10% of your income? Nah. Let's get that in Numbers 13, verse 23.
And they came unto the brook of Eshcol and cut down from hence a branch.
They cut down a branch. We know that branch is very important in Israel. We got many, many branches. The body of Yahushua has branches. Anyway, we'll keep reading.
And cut down from thence a branch with one cluster of grapes.
With just one cluster. Today, a cluster of grapes for us is like, you just put a palm of grapes in your hand. You give them to your son or your daughter. They just put them in their mouth. They get all these grapes. But back in ancient times, these grapes were magnificent. They were bigger than us. Anyway, let's read that.
And they bear it between two upon a staff.
They bear it between two upon a staff. You see that? You got 2 men on this picture with that big cluster of grapes. With that being said, the House of Wisdom has now procured its own wine by way of the Most High Abba Yahweh. This is for Hebrews, for the nations who tether themselves to Hebrews, to render those oblations by way of the priesthood so we can all receive those blessings. So this is the banana wine rendered by Hebrews, for Hebrews, and those who believe in the Hebrews and those who believe in the oblations and the seventh covenant. And then we also have the blood of the grapes. This right here is unheard of in today's time. We got to go to our wine by, no pun intended, but we got to go to the Gentiles to get our wine. We just can't get our wine from our own people, our own kindred. All those in this room are those who are of Israel and those who tether themselves to Israel. Why would you want to go get wine or get grape juice or olive oil or even the flour, the bread of life? This flour right here, if you don't have this and you in the House of Wisdom, you should be ashamed of yourself, because this flour right here is magnificently tasting. So we got all these different products by way of the House of Wisdom. This is how we bring in our wares. This is how we create revenue amongst the nation of Israel as we return back to the city of Adam. And speaking of it, if you're not on the city of Adam and you are a part of the House of Wisdom, then you need to definitely get on, because the city of Adam is unheard of. Once again, We got all the camps and the congregations and the Knesset speaking on how big their camp is, what they're doing on the street corners, how they're helping the homeless. Well, how are you helping rebuild the nation of Israel, the tabernacles of David that have fallen? Well, this is how we're doing it. We're giving up those oblations every day. We're putting our hands to the tillage every single day. We wake up early in the morning to make sure that this wine, the banana, and this flour is being created
by scratch from the beginning.
So we're not going to, you know how we Israelites do. We like to go to the, other nations to, get the shea butter here. We get the oil there. We get the olive oil there. We all put it together. No, we getting this by scratch, as Priest Gabari said. So there's no $10,
no,
the dollar man, or we ain't got no ATM in here. But as we already know, free will offerings are important. So if you can't bring in that revenue to bring the wine and all those things, as the scriptures say, on your long journey, you can sell what you have for money and then convert that money into tithes. So I just want to elaborate on that, because these things are important. And this is how we bring in our revenue. This is how we keep the oblations going. And we already know what is a blessing, even a meat and drink offering.
Done.
So with that being said, we're going to pass it back to Priest Johanna and continue this beautiful and beloved class.
God, all praises the Most High. Genesis 4, verse 7, Priest Nasium.
If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire.
This is what this verse is saying. This verse is saying, if you don't follow law, statutes, commandments, sin, which is a spirit, it is not the act that you're doing. It is a spirit that enters into you. Then you do that act. Spirit. That is what lieth at the door, which is your chamber of imagery. And you shall be his. His who? His Satan. His, a.k.a. demons. And the desires that they have. The desires that they want, which is to rule over you. A.k.a. you become one of Satan's children. For those of you who are saying, that's not what that says. It doesn't say that Satan rules over you. You're making stuff up. Well, I got another script for you. Let's go to Jubilees, and we'll go back to Apprentice Priest Kazak. Let's go to Jubilees, chapter 10, verse 1.
And now let me explain something about Jubilees real quick. Jubilees has been vetted by the House of Wisdom. And it is not a book that was prophetically given by the Most High, but it is a book that is like a historical record of what happened during those times, like Philo and also Josephus. So we can glean a lot from reading the book of Jubilees. And which the brother will read, you'll find a lot of similarities that is in Jubilees that's in the scriptures, like almost word for word. So, of course, men being the ones that wrote it and created, you might find some errors in it, but for the most part, like I said, you can glean a lot from reading the book of Jubilee.
And before, Nassim, you start reading, I want to explain this chapter here. Noah has just gotten off the ark. He and his children are now set in different parts of the world. They have created descendants, which are now descendants of Adam through Noah's lineage. And Noah gave the first sin offering after the ark had landed and all of them exited the ark. And at some point in time, Noah, believing he was free from the spirits of sin, he was free from all the wickedness from his own fellow children, his own fellow children of Seth that went down to my youth, all the wickedness that they were doing. Noah was truly traumatized by all that wickedness. And when the flood came, even more trauma, because that was something that Noah, no living thing has ever experienced upon the earth, ever. And then having that freedom of the air and being able to walk the ground again. And then something happened. A child of Noah came to him and said, hey, there's some bad things going on. I don't know what this is, but it looks wrong. It looks bad. And therefore, Noah takes a look at it and sees this. Continue. Jubilees chapter 10, verse 1. Prudence Priestnation.
And in the third week of this Jubilee, the unclean demons began to lead astray the children of the sons of Noah, and to make to err and destroy them.
So, demons began to lead astray the sons of Noah, and to make err and to destroy them. Again, this is what's happening with the Feast of Weeks. Leading astray, making to err, so you may be destroyed. Verse 2.
And the sons of Noah came to Noah, their father, and they told him concerning the demons which were leading astray and blinding and slaying his sons' sons.
And so Noah's getting ready to give a very humble, heartfelt supplication unto the Most High. Is heart-wrenching hearing Noah's cry unto the Most High. Let's go to that prayer, verse 3.
And he prayed before the Most High his Abba, and said, the Most High of the spirits of all flesh, who has shown mercy unto me, and hast saved me and my sons from the waters of the flood, and hast not caused me to perish, as thou didst the sons of perdition.
Sons of perditions were the children of Seth, the children of Cain. These were sons of perditions. Continue.
For thy grace has been great towards me, and great has been thy mercy to my soul. Let thy grace be lift up upon my sons, and let not wicked spirits rule over them, lest they should destroy them from the earth.
Noah is telling you right here in this prayer that these spirits of sins are ruling over his sons. Just like it said in Genesis, chapter 4, verse 7, when Abba said, sin lieth at the door, and he shall be your ruler over you, Cain. Continue to verse 4.
But do thou bless me and my sons, that we may increase and multiply and replenish the earth. And thou knowest how thy watchers, the fathers of these spirits, acted in my day. And as for these spirits which are living, imprison them and hold them fast in the place of condemnation, and let them not bring destruction on the sons of thy servant, my Abba Yahweh. For these are malignant and created in order to destroy.
That is deep. These spirits of sin are malignant. If you get that as a cancer diagnosis, you're dead. You're a goner. No, I'm sorry. It is what it is. Unless, some miracle by Abba Yahweh, you just go ahead and, to the funeral home and start making your plans, pick out your lot. Because that's what malignant means. Created in order to destroy. That's what these spirits of sin were created to do. These demons, they are not created for fun or pleasure. They're not created to build anything up. They were created to tear down. And that means your own spirit. Tear down your own soul. Tear it down to be where they are, in death. Let's go on in verse 6, please.
And let them not rule over the spirits of the living, for thou alone canst exercise dominion over them. And let them not have power over the sons of the righteous from henceforth and forevermore.
Noah again is saying, don't let them rule over my children. Let them not rule over any living spirit. Thou only, Abba Yahweh, can exercise dominion over them, because there's no more greater power than the Most High Abba Yahweh. And these evil spirits of sin know it. They know the only one that has authority over them is Abba Yahweh. And who Abba Yahweh abides within, have power over these spirits of sin. Let's continue. Apprentice Priest Nacion.
And the Most High our Abba bade us to bind all. And the chief of spirits, Mestema, came and said, Most High Creator, let some of them remain before me, and let them hearken to my voice, and do all that I shall say unto them. For if some of them are not left to me, I shall not be able to execute the power of my will on the sons of men. For these are for corruption and leading astray before my judgment. For great is the wickedness of the sons of men.
Right here, Mestema. Mestema is the chieftain of the Satans. And look how he talks to the Most High Abba Yahweh. Look how, he's like, oh Lord, Creator, this is the one that hates you and will lead you astray and will murder you and tell you to your face, I'm going to kill you. And yet, when he looks to Abba Yahweh, calls him Creator, oh Most High, please listen to my humble voice. Please. I know I was wicked once. Okay, I'm still wicked, but you gave me permission to do this. And so, since they're not listening to your voice, let them listen to my voice. Let these spirits that are ruling over the sons of Noah hearken unto my voice. Mestema is telling you, I am ruling over you. This is the proof and evidence that sin is a spirit. It is not just doing something bad. It is not equivalent to a trespass as it is taught in Christianity. Sin and trespass are the same thing. No, it's not. Trespass is breaking law, statute, commandments. Sin is the result of having broken law, statute, commandments, and not atoning for it, as Priest Kabari brought out and as Priest Uriah brought out.
There's also Hebrews teaching that as well, that sin and trespass are the same, and they're not. So beware. They're teaching that Christian doctrine as well.
Con. So let's go to Revelations chapter 12, Priest Kazak, Apprentice Priest Kazak, Revelations chapter 12, and we'll go to verses 1 through 4, and we're going to show you how this affects these spirits of sin, these ones that lead astray, these ones that are deceiving you. These are the ones that are just wanting you to break law, statute, commandments so they can rule over you. This is what Revelations chapter 12, verse 1 through 4 is about. Can you continue reading for that for me, Prince Priest Kazak?
Revelation 12, verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and under her head a crown of 12 stars. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered.
So the woman is Israel, the sun is the morning oblations, the moon is the night oblations, and the 12 stars are the 12 months. Let's continue in verse 3.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the third part of the stars in heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born.
This is an important scripture as it pertains to the Feast of Weeks. What we're going over, what happened, and why it has not been celebrated in worship for the Most High Abba Yahweh. Because of this, there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, Satan, having 7 heads, meaning the 7 captivities, and 10 horns, meaning the 10 breakaway states, and 7 crowns upon his head, meaning the rulers of those captivities, the ones that rule over Israel in the land of their captivities. And his tail drew the third part of the sun, meaning hid, struck down, did whatever it could do to make sure that it wasn't visible and that it would not be made known. Struck it down, which is the 9th, 10th, or the 10th, 11th, and 12th months of those 12 stars. That's the third part. And what's in those months? Feast of Weeks. The Feast of Weeks. So if you're not worshiping in those weeks, the Feast of Weeks, which is 50 days, if you're not worshiping, you are breaking laws, statutes, and commandments.
And real quick, anybody in the audience know what month, or should I say what months, the Feast of Weeks on the winter side starts? Anybody know? We got the 10th month, and then what other month do we have? We have the 11th month. So with those 2 months in the Hebrew community, we do yeah. That's a better way to say it. In the 9th month. In the 7th month, we already know we do Feast of Tabernacles, Day of Atonement, 7th month, first day. Everybody knows that. And then come the 10th month, 11th month, everybody just silent. Nothing is going on. Then we do pick it up with Purim, which these are holy days and memorial days. But those 2 months, as Priest Johannes said, Hasatan just took it away. Just nowhere to be found. So I just want to add that as well.
So John the Revelator brought this out in Revelations. But there's someone else before John. This is Revelations, a.k.a. the last book of the 66 books of the Bible. But Daniel was before John the Revelator. So John the Revelator was actually given a precept to another Revelator, who was Daniel. Let's go to Daniel chapter 7, and let's read verses 24 and 25, apprentice priest Nasium. Daniel chapter 7, verses 24 and verse 25.
And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings.
Precept upon precept. Daniel gave the first precept. John the Revelator gave the second precept. Precept upon precept. And they're saying nearly identical things. Let's go into verse 25.
And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time.
This is how Israel, the seventh covenant church on earth, was led astray through evil counsel or intentional misinformation or a lie. And it came by the 10 heads changing times, meaning changing the calendar, changing the clock, giving us their laws and not the laws of Abba Yahweh. Law meaning sacrifices. We're giving sacrifices unto Christmas, sacrifices unto Thanksgiving, sacrifices unto Halloween. These are the sacrifices they gave us, which are abominable, idolatry. And we're being accused, and we're wondering why we're separated from Abba Yahweh. This is what Daniel was speaking upon. Changing the times, changing the laws. And these laws were changed to some degree to the point of death. In some degree, you were charged and you were sentenced to death if you did not follow the law of those kings in those days. So, the teaching of false doctrines of pagan religions, or even worse, the religion straight from the synagogue of Satan, this is how Satan has been victorious in his spiritual warfare against the descendants of Adam, as he promised Adam back in the book of Adam and Eve. But by grace, mercy, and charity of Abba Yahweh, in the seventh covenant, no more is Satan victorious. We are fighting back. And by Abba Yahweh's power, we, as prophesied, will win. Satan has robbed the saints of the Feast of Weeks. And then he went to the court of the Most High to persecute all of those who weren't obeying the commandment in Exodus 34, verse 22. And he quotes it word for word. How does it feel to have the person who robbed you and then be your prosecutor? Well, wait a minute. That's the one, right? How is he prosecuting me? And then you're trying to figure out, what? I'm a robber? What are you talking about? Well, we're going to learn what Abba Yahweh feels about you being a robber. We'll pass it on to Priest Hashem.
Shalom, saints. Yeah, just as Priest Yohana mentioned, you know, in this truth, ignorance is in bliss. You know, like he said, we're ignorant. Satan had drew away a fourth part of the stars, took this feast away, and because we don't know about it, doesn't make us exempt from the curses that come upon us. So, you know, it's, you know, Satan robbed the children of Israel of this commandment, and now the children of Israel is robbing the Most High because they're ignorant of not keeping this feast day. They're unaware of it. So how can you make amends for something that you don't know you even transgressed? So we're going to look at a point in time, a low point in our history where this has taken place. And so, Apprentice Priest Nassam, if you can hold Malachi chapter 3 and verse 6, we're going to take a look at this because Abba spoke directly to this, to our forefathers and mothers, saying, and most of you are familiar with this passage on how we robbed the Most High. So if you would, Apprentice Priest, begin reading Malachi chapter 3 and verse 6.
For I am the Most High Abba, I change not.
All right. So here we see this. Abba Yahweh is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. He doesn't change. These laws don't change. Contrary to what Christians say, that the law was done away with and all this other nonsense, it's not true. Abba Yahweh is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. He changes not. And we'll continue reading.
Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. Even from the days of your fathers, ye are gone away from mine ordinances.
All right, we'll hold there. So as Priest Yohana talked about, these ordinances of keeping the Feast of Weeks, this is going back to the beginning of time. This is not something new or some feast that was created, you know, in the New Testament or by, you know, Yahushua. This was something that was kept all the way at the beginning. And so we have to look at a key word here. It says ordinances. What is Abba Yahweh talking about? And I'm just going to read the etymology of the word ordinance. An ordinance was created in the 1300s. It says an authoritative direction, decree, or command. So we know, as Johanna talked about in Exodus 34, the commandments are the commandments. But there's also statutes that apply to this feast as well. So right now, Abba Yahweh is saying, let me go back here. If you read that verse again for me, Apprentice, please.
Malachi 3 and 7. Even from the days of your fathers, ye are gone away from mine ordinances.
So he's speaking to the children of Israel. He said, you're gone away from my ordinances. You've gone away from my decree and my command. Well, what command is he talking about? Let's keep reading.
And have not kept them. Return unto me, and I will return unto you, saith the Most High Abba of hosts. But ye said, wherein shall we return? Will a man rob the Most High?
All right, and so we'll stop here. So, you know, Malachi has been broken down hundreds of times here at the House of Wisdom. So we're going to go through a little more of it. How do you rob Abba Yahweh? You know, when you think about how do you rob him, we were created in Ecclesiasticus. It tells us that we were created to fear the Most High and keep his commandments. We were created for worship, to worship the Most High. So if you're not giving him what he commands in terms of his worship, you're robbing him. And like Prishana says, if you're not fit to give Abba what he's commanding, you're not fit to be on this earth. He'll take you away. So he's saying here that, you know, you've robbed me. And I'm pretty sure, you know, when I read the scriptures and you look between the lines when he's talking to this audience, he says here, read the next part for me, Priest.
Yet ye have robbed me, but ye say, wherein have we robbed thee?
And so the children of Israel was like, where have we robbed you, Abba? You know, like it says in Ezekiel, it said, every man in his chamber of imagery, he's looking at them. He's like, how have I robbed you? Where have we robbed you at? Keep reading.
In tithes and offerings.
In tithes and offerings, the things that pertain to the worship of the Most High. So let's talk about this. When we talk about the tithes, can you hand me that back, John? This right here. Sheba, can you go to QT and purchase some food with this? What about this? Anybody, can y'all go to the grocery store and do some type of barter exchange for some type of goods for this? They're going to look at you like you're crazy.
You'll get the trash from the store, but you won't get nothing like that.
Exactly. They're going to send the hounds on you. So, so the point I'm trying to make here, tithes is not money. That is a big misconception, a lie by Hasatan, mainly in the Christian church. And to keep it real is so they can maintain their racket. That's their source of revenue to keep their ministry going, because nowhere in scriptures does it say that tithes is money. Tithes is this: the corn, oil, and wine, the things that we're making for sacrifices. And I believe it was mentioned earlier, the free will offerings, that's the money. So, you know, we have to get an understanding about this so we can understand what Abba Yahweh is saying here. And so we're going to go back to Genesis chapter 4. And I don't remember what a priest at. Nasam. If you could.
I just want to make one comment. Since I've been in this movement, I've only known one place to actually know what to do with real tithes. Because they speak about tithes, and you have guys that say, oh, we know that tithes is not money, but you don't receive tithes. The only thing you're receiving is money. You need the tithes, the corn, oil, and the wine, which we're showing you today. And this is the only place that I know of that knows what to do with it. Who else knows what to do with the tithes? There's not too many people out there that know what to do with the real tithes. Thank Abba that we know what to do with it. All praises. Go ahead, priest.
Yeah, Hasatan, keeps us deaf, dumb, and blind. A lot of times I ask my Christian pastor, I was like, well, look, they can't answer this question. They won't answer this question because, again, it messes up their bottom line. Now we have a notorious preacher here in Atlanta who spoke years against the tithes, Creflo Dollar. He said, you follow the law, we'll take you out and shoot you. He made stuff like that. Then he comes around and says, oh, you know what? The error of my ways, I was wrong. Tithes isn't money. All these years he was leading these people astray. Our loved ones who have a zeal for the Most High, but not according to knowledge. And that's what the Most High is saying here. They don't understand this knowledge, which is tethered to the removal of these stars. They didn't understand. But go ahead, priest.
And just to hearken on that point, right? As we have been showing physical example of tithes, the wine, the bread, the corn, the oil, the wine. Let's get that in the scripture so we don't have anybody, oh, y'all just talking. You know how we do. But we're going to show that emphatically in the scripture. Let's go over to Nehemiah 10, pick it up at the 34th verse, right? So we were coming out of captivity, and the Most High allowed us to come back under his covenant. And we were looking at the books, the old scrolls that were left behind, and they found something very important. Priest Yohana, if you can grab Nehemiah 10, pick it up at the 34th verse.
And we cast the lot among the priests.
Okay, so we're speaking on priests here. We're not speaking on anything random. There's been a saying, forget the saying. We're speaking about priests, nobody else. Keep reading.
The Levites.
And which are the priests.
And the people.
Who are tethered to the priests.
or the wood offering.
And this wood offering only can be done so by who?
To bring it unto the house of Abba Yahweh, and after the house of our fathers, at times appointed year by year.
Consistently. So this wasn't some one-time thing where we do it once a month or once every year or once every week, whatever it may be. This is daily. Keep reading.
To burn upon the altar the Most High, our Abba Yahweh, as it is written in the law.
So it was written in the law, the way in which we sacrifice. You go back to Exodus, you go back to Deuteronomy 34, Exodus 34, Deuteronomy 16. You see these same examples. But let's get that proof. Keep reading.
Verse 35. And to bring the first fruits of our ground.
All right, so he said the first fruits of our ground. Pay close attention to that word ground. It's going to be brought up again.
And the first fruits of all fruits of all trees.
So we know tree is not money. We know they say mom and dad say money don't grow on trees. But we see it right here. The first fruit of all trees, year by year, unto the house of the Most High. Keep going.
Verse 36. Also the firstborn of our sons.
So wait, hold up. The sons?
Uh-oh.
They too are part of the tithes? Well, we'll see. Keep reading.
And of our cattle.
The cattle?
As it is written in the law.
Okay, so we see it a second time as it is written in the law. But let's keep going.
And the firstlings of our herds.
Of the herds and what else?
And of our
and
flocks.
our flocks. So when did he mention money? He hasn't mentioned it yet. As Priest Rashim talked about, we're talking about tithes. We're not talking about physical currency or whatever it may be, but we're talking about tithes. Keep going.
To bring to the house of our Abba Yahweh.
Once again, the house of our Abba Yahweh. Not to bring to one of the churches so that we can have a beautiful building and everybody has nice cars, good possessions. What does that do for us? Well, we see what it did for us. We got so-called black billionaires. What have they been doing for us? Nothing. But those who render tithes, what do? We give it to the Most High. What does the Most High return to us? A blessing. Keep going.
Unto the priests that minister in the house.
Once again, we see priests again. We don't see pastors or deacons or whatever it may be. We're not saying that pastors and deacons and bishops and all those things don't play a role, but we're speaking about the tithes that came from the priests. Go ahead.
And the priests, the sons of Aaron, shall be with the Levites.
So he's saying this a second time. Keep going.
When the Levites take tithes.
There it is. Say it again.
And when the Levites take tithes, and the Levites shall bring up the tithe of the tithes unto the house of Abba Yahweh.
Go ahead.
To the chambers into the treasure of house.
To the chambers that is within the house of Abba Yahweh. Go ahead.
For the children of Israel and the children of Levi shall bring the offering of the corn.
What?
Of the corn.
So this notion of money, this and that, clothes, whatever it may be. He says, read that again, start from the top.
For the children of Israel and the children of Levi shall bring the offering of the corn.
So we already see that it talked about the tithes in the 37th verse. That came from the cities of our tillage, where we reap and where we sow, as we're doing now spiritually in the 7th covenant for the Feast of Weeks. Keep going.
Of the new wine.
So we got corn, as Priest Rashim just showed, that flour, which is the same thing, corn, the meat offering. And read that again.
Of the new wine.
Of the new wine. Keep going.
And the oil.
And of the oil, which we don't have that up here. But you know you can get your oil by way of the house of wisdom too. Now we have corn, oil, wine. And he said these are tithes. Keep reading.
Unto the chambers where the vessels of the sanctuary.
So they're put in chambers where all the other vessels are stored and located at. So you already know we got a treasury, but this is separate from the treasury. If it was the same, he would have said, this is the treasury, but he didn't say that. He said the chambers where it was stored with the vessels. Keep reading.
And the priests.
Once again, the priests, not the pastor, not the porters, not the holy singers, but the tithes are stored up in the chambers of the priests. And priests do what?
And the priests that minister.
Hold on. This is to the congregation. It's stored up in the chambers of the priests. And what do the priests do? They give up them oblations. So that clears up right there without a shadow of a doubt that indeed money, as Priest Rashim said, is not tithes. But we see it here, that corn, oil, and wine. Go ahead and finish that up.
And the porters and the singers, and we will not forsake the house of our Abba Yahweh.
Not again. All right, so I wanted to add that on to what Priest Rashim has already been going over.
And let me hit something real quick, going by what Rashim said and what he read, that the Most High changes not, right? So you might say the Most High is not changing, but what happened from the 6th covenant and the 7th covenant? There was a change. So what does he mean? The Most High wanted sacrifices in the 6th covenant, and he still wants his sacrifice, but in a different way. So he does change, but he hasn't changed from wanting his sacrifices. I don't want the blood no more. We want the bread, the oil, and the wine for this in this covenant to make me happy and satisfied. So does the Most High change? And I'm sure when Chief Priest goes into the correct interpretation of it, it may say something totally different than what is written in the English to give you a better understanding on what he means by he does not change. So we see that he does change, but he still wants his sacrifice. So that hasn't changed. It's just in the way that we give the sacrifices now. So I wanted to bring that out for somebody who thinks they're savvy and say, Most High don't change, but you saying he changed the sacrifices. So he still wants his sacrifices, but in a different way. So go ahead.
Right on point. So like you said, the tithes here it's not money. It's corn, oil, and wine. And we prove that emphatically, checkmate, in the scriptures that Priest Uriah had brought out. But if you would, AP Nassam, let's pick it up in Malachi chapter 3 and verse 9.
Ye are cursed with a curse, for ye have robbed me, even this whole nation.
All right. So again, based, what Priest Johanna brought out, you're cursed because of your ignorance in the court of the Most High. They say, hey, look, Sister Susie, she's not keeping the Feast of Weeks. Sister Susie don't even know that she's supposed to keep the Feast of Weeks. And he's saying you still have robbed me, even this whole nation. And there's more backdrop to Malachi. The priesthood was defunct. The person who had to, or the men who had to execute the office of the priest, they were out of order. So if they're out of order, the whole nation is out of order. Like I said in Jeremiah, when Israel was in a backslidden state, he said the earth was void and without form. And we know what the proper understanding of that is that no proper worship is being given from the earth realm. Only heaven is given a proper worship. So hence, earlier in this chapter, Yahushua had to come back so that an acceptable peace offering could be given again so he can cleanse the priesthood. But if you would, AP Nassam, let's continue in verse 10.
Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse.
All right, so the tithes in the storehouse. Man, Uriah stole all my thunder, boy. I'm trying to figure some things out. But yeah, so right here clearly it says the tithes in the storehouse. These things were brought so that that these sacrifices could be given all the time. That they're put in the storehouse. So I mean, under the 6th covenant, man, when King Solomon was consecrating the temple, thousands of cattle, sheep, lands, this is the 7th covenant is a much more perfect and excellent way. I look at it, I thank the Most High that I didn't have to do sacrifices like they did it back then. It was a lot of work. Not disparaging the 6th covenant, because in its time it was glorious. Abba gave us the sin and trespass offering, peace and thanksgiving offering, and we was able to, withstand Hasatan, to fight them and defeat them and to remain perfect before Abba Yahweh. But in this covenant, it's a much more glorious covenant. We're going to get more into that later, where we can just give the calves of our lips, the fruit of our lips. enter our chamber of imagery to offer these sacrifices. But here it says tithes in the storehouse. These tithes were stored, not money. They were stored. And actually, we're going to bring out another part here. And I don't know. I think Johanna, he may have hit on it. I mean, Uriah. Let's see. No, it's all good. We'll continue reading. AP.
Malachi 3:10. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house.
All right, so another misnomer. Those who have been following the House of Wisdom should know this through and through, but meat, he's not talking about flesh. He's talking about this. He's talking about grain, so that you can make the meat offering according to Leviticus chapter 2. It tells you how a meat offering is made. Corn, the oil, flour, and the oil and the flour and the water. So this is the meat that he wants in his house. And as Priest Gabari was talking about, under the seventh covenant, we still have a meat offering. The bread, the body of Yahweh Shai, and of course, the blood of grapes. But we'll continue reading, Apprentice Priest.
And prove me now herewith, saith the Most High Abba of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it.
All right. So where have we heard this from? If we kind of back up here, what the Most High is saying to the children of Israel in this time, who else was this presented to? Anybody? Because the wording is almost the same. Anybody want to take a shot? Not quite. Yeah. Yeah, so the Most High is saying, you've robbed me. You're not giving me my sacrifices. He says, if you return unto me, I'll return unto you. Prove me. Where else have you heard this? There you go. Cain and Abel. Not exactly the same wording, but he said, look, you know what to do. You understand the law and what's written and how I want the sacrifice, how I want my tithes, how you need to bring the first fruits. This is the same wording here. He's saying, look, and this is mercy. If you look in the scripture, this is the mercy of Abba Yahweh. It's like, look, return them to me. He's pleading with them. He said he would that no man perish. So he's pleading with them to do what's right. Abba has to stand on his word. His word is greater than his name. So if he says something, he's going to hold on to it, just like he told Adam in the book of Adam and Eve. He's like, when Adam gave up that peace offering that was so glorious, Abba loved it. He said, man, if I could turn back on my word, I would take you from this prison sentence, and you wouldn't have to serve the 7,000 years, but you're going to have to serve it. So, keep doing what you're doing. Keep Hasatan off of your back, and that'll make your life in this prison sentence easier. And where do we leave off, Apprentice Priest? We'll continue reading.
Malachi 3:11. And I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground, neither shall your vine cast her fruit before the time in the field, saith the Most High of hosts.
All right. So here, the devourer is Satan. These Satans that we were talking about, these chieftains. And he says, he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground or cast your vine. Neither shall your vine cast her fruit before her time, saith the Most High of hosts. So again, to bring some context to this, we're talking about the Feast of Weeks now under the Sixth Covenant. The conditions were different. Under the Sixth Covenant, you had to perform these sacrifices and offerings in Jerusalem, where he put his name. And for the sake of time, we won't get into it, but we talk about it all the time. You had to go there. As Uriah pointed out, the priests had to do it. Those that were dedicated or that were anointed to do that work had to do it. A regular congregant couldn't even wave. You would die and curses would come upon you. So they had to execute the office of a priest at the temple, with all the vessels and all those things. to please the Most High under the sixth covenant. So we're going to move now and just talk about how, and we've talked about it some already. How do you keep the Feast of Weeks? And so with that, like we said, you have to bring the firstling among your cattle. You have to bring your tithes to honor the Most High. And again, we don't define how we love the Most High. If the Most High say he wants, this, and that, you can't give him that, this, and them. You got to give him exactly what he's asked for to please him, because that's loving the Most High. So under the sixth covenant, under the Feast of Weeks, we've pretty much brought it out. Well, actually, we'll go to Numbers 18. We'll get into a little more. Apprentice Priest Kazak, if we can go to Numbers 18, and we'll just bring some more understanding about how this feast is supposed to be executed under the sixth covenant. And we'll begin with, let's see. Let's start with verse 1. Numbers 18, chapter 18 and verse 1.
And the Most High said unto Aaron, Thou and thy sons and thy father's house with thee shall bear the iniquity of the sanctuary.
All right, so what I said here, Hurley, he said, and unto Aaron and thy sons and thy father's house. So those, the lineage of Aaron, they were the ones that bear the iniquity and the work in the sanctuary. Continue to read.
And thy sons with thee shall bear the iniquity of your priesthood.
And we'll continue.
And thy brethren also of the tribe of Levi, and the tribe of thy father, bring thy with thee, that they may be joined unto thee, and minister unto thee. But thou and thy sons with thee shall minister before the tabernacle of witness. And they shall keep thy charge, and the charge of all the tabernacle. Only they shall not come nigh the vessels of the sanctuary and the altar, that neither they nor ye also die.
All right, and if you would jump down to verse 24. Yeah, 24.
Numbers 18, verse 24. But the tithes of the children of Israel, which they offer as an heave offering unto the Most High, I have given to the Levites to inherit. Therefore I have said unto them, among the children of Israel, they shall have no inheritance.
All right, and again, just more understanding and clarity under this covenant. Again, it's Aaron, it's executing office of the priest. They're saying the children of Israel bring the tithes to the priest so they can heave it unto the Most High. And on this 50th day, we're going to see that, I will will tomorrow, the heaving of the tithes that everybody has brought in, the priesthood heaving that unto the Most High. But we'll continue reading.
Well, at least the people here will see it.
Con.
We won't be doing that online.
Yeah.
We already got a bunch of copycats out there, so we will not be doing that online.
Con. And this is a sacred thing. Everybody shouldn't see it. That's my opinion. You should be under the covenant to witness these things. This isn't for everybody. But we'll continue reading, priest.
Numbers 18 and 25. And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, Thus speak unto the Levites, and say unto them, When ye take of the children of Israel the tithes which I have given you from them for your inheritance, then ye shall offer up an heave offering of it for the Most High, even a 10th part of the tithe.
All right. And then let's just jump down to verse 30.
Therefore, thou shalt say unto them, When ye have heaved the best thereof from it, then it shall be counted unto the Levites as the increase of the threshing floor, and as the increase of the winepress.
All right. So again, more proof that the tithes that he's talking about is the wine and the flour, the meat offering, the corn. So with that, again here, we talked about the tithes. We talked about what's required under the sixth covenant to keep this feast. And under the Feast of Weeks, these 50 days, we gather these tithes and we bring them on the 50th day so they can be heaved. Like, again, we're going to go into the difference between the sixth covenant and the seventh covenant. But this is how it was done in the sixth covenant. And this, because we're not an agrarian people, we don't understand this. We getting our vegetables from Publix and all these other places. Again, it was a lot different. But in this time, they had to bring these tithes. It was a physical thing, and Abba looked at that. If you, and I would dare to say, even if your heart wasn't right, you did what Abba commanded you to do under this carnal covenant, you were good. You were perfect before the Most High. And so we're going to get more into that as we go along. But here, with that being said, so the question now is, or what we didn't cover, is when do we observe the Feast of Weeks? That's very important. When do we come to worship the Most High? If you're not worshiping the Most High at its appointed time and in due season, that worship is not worth anything. So our forefather Enoch told us the appropriate times, how to observe the luminaries, when we supposed to come to worship the Most High and do it duly and in season. So what is the appointed time that Abba Yahweh wants these sacrifices? With that, I'll pass it over to priest Uriah.
All right. AP Hezekiah, if you can grab me Exodus 34 and AP Obadiah Whole Leviticus 23. Go ahead and read the Exodus 34. Pick it up at the 22nd verse. We're speaking on the feast that is mentioned in both Exodus and in Leviticus, but there is a mysterious verbiage that needs to be clarified and cleared up. So in Exodus, it's very, very specific, but in Leviticus, it's a little hazy. So today, we're going to go into it deeply to better comprehend and understand when, how, and where we're supposed to keep the Feast of Weeks. I go ahead and get that Exodus 34 and pick it up at the 22nd verse.
And thou shalt observe the Feast of Weeks, of the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the Feast of Ingathering at the year's end.
So those are two feasts, right? You have the Feast of Weeks, first day, Feast of Weeks, 50th day. Then at the year's end, on the winter season, you have Feast of Weeks, first day, and you have Feast of Weeks, 50th day, which is the Feast of Ingathering. Go ahead in the 23rd verse.
Thrice in the year shall all your men children appear before the Most High Abba, the power of Israel.
So as we just talked about those 3 days, thrice in the year, meaning 3 times in the summer season, that's the first half of the year, and 3 times in the winter season. Thrice. Drop that and get Leviticus 23, verse 10. Go ahead when you got that.
Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when ye be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits.
All right, so it says, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits, right? We know the first fruits of your harvest. Leviticus 23 is talking about all of the high holy days. First fruits, Feast of Weeks, Pentecost, even a mysterious term, the Feast of Castus. All of these are the same thing. It says, you shall bring a sheaf, which is a bundle of your first fruits. Where do you bring it to? The priest. We'll pause right there. Let's get another reference of this. Pick it up at Deuteronomy 16 and verse 9.
"7 weeks shalt thou number unto thee."
There it is right there. 7 weeks. Go ahead.
Begin to number the 7 weeks from such time as.
So you don't start the count from a random point. You don't just start it as they say right after Feast of Unleavened Bread. You don't start there. When do you start?
Check. From such time to put this to the corn.
All right, so you start the feast, right? And when you put the sickle, or should I say you start that count with the sickle to the corn. Let's go back, keep going in that 10th verse. Deuteronomy 16 and 10.
And thou shalt keep the feast of weeks unto the Most High thy power with a tribute of a freewill offering of thine hand.
So that's also a part of the feast. You bring that free will offering too. Go ahead.
Which thou shalt give unto the Most High thy power, according as the Most High thy power has blessed thee.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt rejoice before the Most High thy power.
And this is who is to keep the Feast of Weeks that is in your household. Go ahead.
And thou shalt rejoice before the Most High thy power, thy sons and thy daughters.
Your sons, your daughters, keep reading.
And thy manservants.
Your manservant.
And thy manservants.
And thy maidservants.
Maidservants. And the Levites.
Even the Levites.
That is with thy gates.
So there's one more, right? It's not just specific to Israel, but who else is it to?
And thy stranger.
Which is the nations who are tethered to the children of Israel. As we always say at the House of Wisdom, the Israelites are like Levi, and the rest of the world who tether themselves are like the other tribes. Keep reading.
And thy fatherless.
Even those who are fatherless, go ahead.
And the widow.
Okay.
That are among you.
So everybody, essentially, everybody's commanded to come and keep the Feast of Weeks. We'll go ahead and finish that up.
In the place which the Most High thy power has chosen to place his name there.
Verse 12.
And thou shalt remember that thou was a bondmaid in Egypt, a bondman in Egypt, and thou shalt observe to do these statutes.
So everybody in the House of Wisdom, everybody in the seventh covenant, all those who seek to praise, worship the Most High, needs to keep the Feast of Weeks in both the summer side and the winter side, thrice in a year. So you come twice in the summer side, you come twice in the winter side. The first day and the 50th day on both sides. All right, go back to Deuteronomy 16 and verse 9.
7 weeks shall thou number unto thee. Begin to number the 7 weeks from such time as thou beginnest to put the sickle to the corn.
All right, so sickle is an instrument for reaping grain, harvesting. It's essentially like a pitchfork, whatever terminology you choose to use as you're reaping those crops. All right, we're going to go ahead and jump up and pick it up at the 13th verse.
Thou shalt observe the Feast of Tabernacles 7 days.
So we also have the Feast of Tabernacles in there. So as we already know, we're speaking on the winter side. So we got the Feast of Weeks, even the Feast of Tabernacles. Feast of Tabernacles, you keep that for 7 days plus 1. That's the 8th day, that great day. And then we got the Feast of Weeks. You keep that for 7 weeks. Keep reading.
After that, thou hast gathered in thy corn and thy wine.
So for both feasts, you bring your corn, you bring your wine, as it just say for the Feast of Tabernacle. And for the Feast of Weeks, what do you bring? You bring that corn, you bring that wine. Keep going. Verse 14, this is Deuteronomy 16 and 14. Matter of fact, jump to verse 15.
7 days shalt thou keep a solemn feast unto the Most High thy power in the place which the Most High shall choose. Because the Most High thy power shall bless thee in all thine increase and in all thy works of thy hands.
So we just talked about the winter season with the Feast of Tabernacles and the Feast of Weeks, in that 7th month, in that 10th month, and in that 11th month. Those are 3 feast days. Jump to verse 16, or should I say pick it up at the 16th verse?
3 times in a year shall all thy males.
So it's talked about again in the 16th verse, 3 times in a year. Go ahead.
All thy males appear before the Most High thy power in the place which he shall choose. In the feast of unleavened bread.
1.
In the feast of weeks.
2. On both the 1st and 50th day, so that's 3.
And
that's on the summer side. Keep reading.
And in the Feast of Tabernacles.
So that's on the winter side. All right, so go ahead and drop that and pick it up at Exodus 23. Exodus 23 and verse 12. So we got the Feast of Tabernacles. We got the Feast of Weeks. So that first day for the Feast of Weeks is a holy convocation. That 50th day is a holy convocation. That's why you come with the Feast of Ingathering at the end. Go ahead and pick it up at Exodus 23 and verse 12. We're just going here to get another reference. We just saw tabernacles in the winter, and we touched on it in the summer, but we didn't see that exact scripture. Go ahead.
6 days shalt thou do thy work, and on the 7th day thou shalt rest.
Jump to the 14th verse.
3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year.
Now there it is specifically. 3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year. The whole calendrical calendar, 360 plus 4. But on the summer side, you got 180 plus 2. On the winter side, you got 180 plus 2. So 3 times in the year. Both sides, that's 6 times. Go ahead.
3 times shalt thou keep a feast unto me in a year. Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread.
Once again, feast of unleavened bread. So now we cannot say, oh, it's just Feast of Tabernacles, Feast of Unleavened Bread, and Feast of Weeks. But as you go and you look deeper, it's actually Feast of Tabernacles, Feast of Weeks twice, so that's 3. And then as we see here, you got Feast of Unleavened Bread and Feast of Weeks twice. That's another 3. Go ahead.
Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded thee, in the time appointed of the month of Abib.
Now, for the Hebrew community, everybody knows Abib. Now, we already know Abib is an Egyptian word. It's an Egyptian month. We know it as the first month of Yeshabim, but we already know in the Hebrew community, when Abib comes, what that means. We're about to start feasting. But we know that this word Abib is more so speaking on spring, you know, the springing of the crops, all of those different things. So now we just covered all sides. We covered the winter side, we covered the summer side. Go ahead and drop that and go back to Leviticus 23. Who had that? AP Hezekiah, pick up that Leviticus 23 and verse 10. We're going to go back to this important word. We'll see it. Leviticus 23 and 10.
Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when ye be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest.
So you shall bring a sheaf after you've reaped the harvest. What's that harvest? Once again, the corn, oil, and wine, 6th covenant. What about in the 7th covenant? It's the fruits of the Spirit, which we'll talk on shortly. But speaking of the word sheaf, anybody know what a sheaf is? Anybody in the audience know sheaf? Yeah, it's a bundle. Essentially, it's a bundle after you've been reaping for how long? 7 weeks. But you have to prepare that on that day you're supposed to come to. And when you're supposed to heave it to the Most High. Or should I say when you're supposed to wave it to the Most High. All right, go ahead in that Leviticus 23 and 11th verse. Because this may be, as far as Leviticus 23 and the high holy days, the feast days, this may be one of the misunderstood scriptures known in this modern Hebrew movement. Go ahead.
And the you that he's speaking about that's supposed to wave it is only the priest.
Once again, nobody else.
Only they are supposed to wave and heave and do all the services of the Most High. You bring the tithes and we do the rest.
Absolutely. Go ahead in that 11th verse.
And he shall wave the sheaf before the
So he
Most High,
shall wave that bundle of harvest. Go ahead.
to be accepted for you.
So it can be accepted. So if you come beforehand, if you, what does it say? And it was stricken. In the scriptures, it talks about that the barley was smitten, it was stricken, or it wasn't ready.
Oh, that's in Exodus when they came out of Egypt.
Right, so that means
First month.
You got to come at a specific moment. Speaking of the first month, after the Feast of Unleavened Bread, usually what happens in the Hebrew community, that following week, you start the Feast of Weeks. However, if you start too soon, the barley, the corn, the oil, the wine, it won't be ready. But we're going to show that. We're going to show how many days you are to count and from when you're supposed to count from. All right, read that 11th verse one more time.
And he shall wave the sheaf before the Most High, to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Shabbat, the priest shall wave it.
All right, AP Obadiah, grab the book of Adam and Eve, chapter 68. And he said, read that one more time. That's heavy. And read it slowly.
And he shall wave the sheaf before the Most High, to be accepted for you.
If only way it can be acceptable is if it comes at the proper time. Go ahead.
On the morrow after the Shabbat, the priest shall wave it.
On the morrow after the Shabbat. Which Shabbat? And when? All right, so we're going to touch on that, right? Because we just can't say, oh, on the morrow after the Shabbat. Is it the following week after the Feast of Unleavened Bread? Can we say that? Where can we find evidence of that? I'm not really sure, but we can find evidence on a proper time, and we're going to use the reference of the book of Adam and Eve, chapter 68, and we'll jump through it for the sake of time. Go to verse 1, and then pick it up at the 8th verse, or 6th verse, I should say.
And I will say before the brother, the AP reads, most Hebrew Israelites that follow the Feast of Weeks either started that same weekend of the Passover or the week after. No other time. So keep that in mind. Go ahead.
But now, O Adam, you shall acknowledge my good deeds done to you. And the Most High told his angels to take Adam and Eve and to bear them up to the field of wheat, which they found as before.
So in the times of Adam and Eve, they had a field of wheat. So imagine their harvest. We know it's much different from ours now, but this is just going to show how important it is to have that harvest prepared and to be prepared. So on that first day of the Feast of Weeks, we know to bring that sheaf and that wave to the priesthood. All right, go ahead.
End of 7. With a bucket full of water. Verse 8. There they saw a tree and found on it solid manna and wondered at the Most High's power. And the angel commanded them to eat of the manna when they were hungry. And the Most High admonished Satan with a curse.
So after Hasatan tried to stop Adam and Eve from getting to this point, the Most High said, look, no more of that. Chill out, Hasatan. Because Hasatan came and he destroyed their crops. And this made Adam very weary. But the Most High comforted him, and we're going to continue on and go ahead and pick it up at the 10th verse.
Then Adam and Eve took of the corn.
Once again, that corn, go ahead.
And made of it an offering. And took it and offered it up on the mountain, the place where they had offered it up, the first offering of blood. And they had offered this offering again on the altar they had first built at first. And they stood up and prayed and besought the Most High, saying, thus, Abba Yahweh.
Jump to verse 12.
The Most High said to Adam and Eve, since you have made this offering and have offered it to me, I shall make it my flesh. When I come down on the earth to save you, I shall cause it to be offered continually on the altar.
So this shall be a continual thing. But we'll jump to the 16th verse for the sake of time. This is the book of Adam and Eve, chapter 68, verse 16.
And the Most High said unto Adam, this shall be to you a custom to do so, when affliction and sorrow come over you, but your deliverance and your entrance into the garden shall not be until the days are fulfilled as agreed between you and me.
So as Priest Rashim said, even though these oblations are well pleasing to the Most High Yahweh, we still have to fulfill that 7,000-year prison sentence. Jump to the 17th verse.
Adam rejoiced at these words which he heard from the Most High, and he and Eve worshipped before the altar, to which they bowed, and they went back to the cave of treasures.
All right, if we can pull up that chart, the calendrical chart found in the House of Wisdom calendar, and we're going to make this correlation with the book of Adam and Eve, 68, verse 18. So we talked about how we're at the Feast of Unleavened Bread. We start at that point. First month, first day, right? Then we get to the first month, 14th day, Passover. Coming into the 15th day, we got the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So then we're going over from the Feast of Unleavened Bread. There's a pause. Why is there a pause? Because we got to get our crops ready so that we can bring that harvest when the Feast of Weeks is supposed to start. Let's get the book of Adam and Eve, 68 and verse 18.
And this took place at the end of the 12th day, after the 18th day, 80th day, from the time Adam and Eve came out of the garden.
All right, so we got 12 and 80. Can anybody do the math for that? 12 and 80. So we got 92 days. Remember, we just talked about the 180 plus 2 on the first half, 180 plus 2 on the second half of the year. What's 180 and 180? Anybody know that? Do that quick math. We had 360. Then we got 2. What are those 2 days? Anybody want to know? Anybody want to comment? So we got 200 calorie days. We have the, interaction. Let's get it. The so-called vernal equinox, which starts the sign for the new year, right? So that's one intercalary day. Summer solstice. So that vernal equinox is the sign that the new year is here. On what side of the year? The summer side. And then we have that, what's that second intercalary day? Right. So from the vernal equinox, we got 30 days we count. We can find this in Enoch. We're not going to go over it for the sake of time. But this is in Enoch, the Law of the Luminaries, chapter 72, I think to 76. So we got 30 days from the vernal equinox, so-called. Then we got another 30 days, which equals what? That's 60 days. Then we got another 30 days, which is how many days? 90 days.
That's 3 months.
That's 3 months. So we start that count from the very first day of the Hebrew New Year. But within that frame, from the first day, first month, to the first day, 15th month, we have Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. But like we just said, that's 90 days. Then what happens on that 91st day? It's another intercalary day, another sign, as we've stated. So now we had 91 days, which is what, say that again? The summer solstice. The longest day of the year, where we can praise and worship the Most High as long as until the sun starts to go down. But anyway, it's a long day. So that's, how many days is that? Right. So that following day is the what? All right, go ahead and read that, call it chapter and verse. Yeah.
And this took place at the
chapter and verse.
Book of Adam and Eve, chapter 68 and 18. And this took place at the end of the 12th day.
One more time, 12 days.
At the 80th day.
After the 80th day, so what is it? 80, 92.
From the time Adam and Eve came out of the garden.
So we got 92 days. It's funny how they put that together. They didn't just say 92 days. They said 12 days and then 80 days. Why you just say 90 days? We just broke it down, right?
God.
That sun rises for 30 days, it sets for 30 days. That sun rises for 30 days, it sets for 30 days. How many is that? Once again, 60. That sun rises for 30 days again, and then it sets for 30 days. We had 90. Then we get that sign. The sun was like, yeah, I'm gonna go down, but I'm going to go down slower. I'm going to make sure I stay up for a long time. All right? So that's a total of 92 days. So from the first month to that third month, we got 90 days. We got that one intercalary day, which makes that 91st day. Then, after that new month, because we know the intercalary day hovers between the months, after that intercalary day, what do? We come and we start that new month, which is the first day of the Feast of Weeks as we know it, as we just covered on it. That starts the count for the 7 days. That's when we know that our harvest is ready, right?
And that's in the 4th month.
The 4th month, 1:30, first month, 2:30, second month, 3:30, 9th month. Plus 1, intercalary day, 40. Should I say 4th month from that point. And then we number it for 50 days. Then we come up in the 5th month. Then we got a little time in which there is no feasting. But what happens after the 5th month? How many more months until the next feast? Not 2 months, a little under 2 months. What feast is that? 7th month, first day. So now we're on the winter side, right? So we're going to use the same example. Go back to Deuteronomy 16 and pick it up at the, matter of fact, let's get Leviticus, or should I say Exodus chapter 23. Matter of fact, you're right, Deuteronomy 16 and 16. AP Hezekiah, you can grab that, Deuteronomy 16 and 16. So we just covered it on the summer side. But we also covered how we also have tabernacles, Easter weeks, on the winter side. So if the count is one way on the summer side and we see the same feast, what should it be on the winter side? So let's get that Deuteronomy 16 and verse 16 one more time.
3 times in a year shall all thy meals appear before the Most High thy Abba, in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread.
So we got the feast of unleavened bread in that summer season.
And in the feast of weeks.
And we got that feast of weeks in the summer season.
Go
ahead.
And in the feast of tabernacles.
Okay, so that's the winter season. We're not going to go to the other scripture. We covered it. But we wanted to highlight, all right, the Feast of Tabernacles, that's on another side. We got the first all the way to the 6th month. That's the summer side. Then we got another side, the winter season. 7th month, that's the first day. Got the 7th month, first day. Got the 7th month, 10th day with the Day of Atonement. And we got the 7th month, 14th, or going into the 15th day, which is the start of the Feast of Tabernacles.
I mentioned something while you are at that point. So you have these desert penguins, and we know who the desert penguins are. You got them in the 7th month saying, Rosh Hashanah. And we say the new year. Are they crazy? The new year don't start until, some may say January, and then the Hebrews will say it don't start until March, April. Mm-hmm. So why are they saying Happy New Year in 7? Well, I'm going to read something. It's the etymology of year. And we brought it out before, but I want to bring it again because it's going to make a lot of sense in this brother bringing this out. So we have year. It is a cycle or a season. Any part of a year. Now, that's interesting. How can a year be any part of a year? It's trying to tell you something. Pay attention. And it says, any part of a year, any part of an hour, or a complete circuit. So what a year is, the definition, the true definition, is a circuit. So when it says any part of a year, we got 6 months. Summer season. Then you got 6 months, the winter season. When does that winter season start? The 7th month. This is why they say Rosh Hashanah, Happy New Year. It is a new circuit. And it begins the winter season. This is why they mean that. So 3 times in a circuit must all males appear before the Most High. So what the brother is talking about now is the winter circuit. He spoke about the summer circuit first. Now he's talking about the winter circuit. And in a full circuit, the calendrical year is 364 days.
Right.
So let us get understanding. Enoch speaks about this clearly. But that's right. Y'all don't read Enoch. So how could you possibly know? How can you possibly please the Most High if you don't have this understanding? Well, guess what? You cannot. You will never be in His grace. You will never be in His mercy if you don't understand these things to perform the things that we know makes Him happy. Go ahead, priest.
Khan, and now that we can see why some of our Hebrew constituents come right after the Feast of Unleavened Bread. They just read it on the morrow after the Shabbat. So that looks like, all right, so after the Feast of Unleavened Bread, we just come and then we just keep it. And then it's also, I've also heard some say, yeah, the Feast of Weeks with the S is only one day. That blew my mind. But anyway, we're going to get back to it, right? Go ahead and read that Deuteronomy 16:16 one more time.
3 times in a year shall all thy meals appear before the Most High, thy Abba, in the place which He shall choose, in the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and in the Feast of Weeks, and in the Feast of Tabernacles. And
so we know if it's in the Feast of Tabernacles on the winter side, what other feasts is also included in that on that winter season? Feast of Weeks again. So let's do the math one more time. It's, for lack of a better term, a butterfly effect. What's in the summer is also in the what? It's also in the winter. So we have that 7th month, first day. Then we have in the between of that, 15 days later, or maybe we'll start, 10 days later, we got Day of Atonement. A few days later after that, from the 7th month, first day to the 7th month, 15th day, we got Feast of Tabernacle. So we got 15 days right there. We see more days. We at the 8th month. That's 30 days. So that's 30 days, 7th month, 30 days, 8th month, 30 days, 9th month. So we had 90 days. Then we count that. What is that again? What did it say in the book of Adam and Eve? 80 plus 12. Wow, amazing. 92 days. So we just counted 90 days. Then we got that I just gave it. What are those 2 intercalary signs? Which is what day? Right, because now the first 180 days, we already covered that.
Done.
So we got you could just say you could just say on the winter side, you know what I'm saying? Make it simple. So we got that Feast of Tabernacles coming in. So we got these days coming in, just like it is on the summer side, it is on the winter side. So we got the 92nd day of what side? On the winter side. So we got that vernal equinox, right? That starts off, or should I say, the autumnal equinox that starts off that winter season. Then you count those 92 days. What sign is that? The winter solstice. What type of day is that? It's the longest night of the year. Well, what those enchanters, Hasatan, they trying to trick us up. But what do we do on that day to stop and curb the trickery and the enchanters and the robbers, as Priest Johannes spoke? What do we do on that day? Not necessarily memorial blowing of the trumpets, but on the longest night of the year. A day after is the Feast of Weeks, but the day before is another new month. And on a new month, what do? Oblations, once again. So as on the summer side, so shall it be on the winter side. That's a total of 92 days again. And then what do? We count up and we get to the 11th month, which is where we are now. And then, just a little longer. And then what do we start off again? That summer season with the first month, first day. So I just wanted to make sure that was crystal clear. As it is on the summer season, so shall it be on the winter season. And as Priest Johanna talked about earlier, our stars were taken away. They were removed. Those last 3 months of the Hebrew year was taken away. And this feast became mysterious. Nobody knew about it. It was so mysterious that some of our own Hebrew forefathers was like, man, I don't know if it's a feast or if it's like a feast. I really don't know. But I think it is a feast. Speaking of that, Priest Gabari, is it a feast?
Yes, sir.
Well, can you give us some edification to more prove with more information this Feast of Weeks on this winter season?
Done. So I want to backtrack just a little bit so we can get that understanding and flow right back into it. So AP Obadiah, can you give me Exodus 23:14 and 16? And Priest Hezekiah, can you give me Deuteronomy 16 and 16? This is where Priest Uriah just came from, but I want to go back and point out some things. He made a comment, you have a summer side and a winter side. So before they read that, give me 1 minute. We're going to pull out some scriptures now. Some of y'all don't like going through scriptures. You like to read one and sing all day. And we can't do that. You ain't going to learn that. You might learn how to sing a song, but you won't learn nothing about the Most High. So let's go to, I'm going to go to Genesis. And by the way, it's just, something that the sisters spoke about sweating all hard. T.D. Jakes, he is the first man that I have ever seen in my life wear a suit and you saw the sweat coming from his arms. I have never seen that in my life before. And he was running around, hooping and hollering, and you learned nothing from this man. So, so hopefully you'll learn something here today. So we got Uriah speaking about a winter season and a summer season. So we got here Genesis, the 8th chapter, and we're going to start at let me see here. We do go straight to the point, 22, 8 and 22. While the earth remaineth seed time and harvest and cold and heat and summer and winter, and the day and night shall not cease. Why is it not mentioning spring or mentioning fall? That is a Gentile invention, the spring and the fall. Hebrews only had 2 seasons, hot and cold, summer and winter. That's the 2 sides. This begins the butterfly effect that the brother was talking about. And also it is recorded in Jubilees, the same exact thing, nothing different. So you guys are missing out when you don't read the book of Jubilees or these other books. And by the way, let me say something for you guys that don't want to read these other books, right? Besides the 66. In the 66, it makes reference to 11 other books. Wow. Why don't you guys read that? You don't read enough. If you read, you would know Book of Jubilees is one, Jasher is another, the Book of Gad the Seer is another. Ooh, what is that? You guys don't read enough. And if you don't read, you can't understand. Stop taking a man's word for everything. You can't do that. You won't learn anything that way. We always say when you come here, don't even trust us. Don't believe us. Do your own research. So give me Exodus 23, and you read that.
3 times a year shalt thou keep a feast unto me in the year.
3 times in a circuit. 6 months is one circuit. This is the summer circuit. Spring is only the beginning of summer. Summer just don't come in like today is nice and cold. The next day, bam, it's bare and hot. And you can't take it. It gradually goes into and then finally becomes, whoo, it's hot out here. In winter, it's the same thing. It just don't one day, bang, and it's cold. It's winter. It gradually, winter's coming. Because it's starting to get cold out here. So it's a gradual a thing that takes place. So read that again.
3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year.
3 times in the circuit. Go ahead.
Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days.
And it mentions the unleavened bread. Pay attention. Pay close attention. Go ahead.
As I commanded thee in the time appointed of the month of Abib.
What? What month?
The month of Abib.
What month is Abib? The first month. So the first month is the beginning of the summer season, right? Keep that in mind. Now give me Deuteronomy 16:16.
3 times in a year.
Saying the same thing. 3 times in the circuit. Must all the men appear before the Most High to keep this feast. Go ahead.
3 times in a year shall all thy meals appear before the Most High thy Abba,
Go ahead.
in the place which he shall choose,
Go ahead.
in the feast of unleavened bread,
We have the Feast of Unleavened Bread. This is why you get confused. You're like, oh, it's talking about unleavened bread. It must be talking about during the time of the Passover. Go ahead.
and in the feast of tabernacles.
And the Feast of Tabernacles. Wait a minute. Why is it saying tabernacles? When is tabernacles? When is it? No, what month? 7th month. So it says the Feast of Unleavened Bread in the month of Abib, that's the 1st month. And now we're saying tabernacles, that's the 7th month. What's going on here? And I never understood this until I came here. I was like, whoa. There's a difference. One is the Feast of Unleavened Bread on the winter side, the 1st month, and the other one is the Feast of Unleavened Bread on the winter side. Now you're saying this Negro is crazy. He going off, Doc. Pay attention. I'm not done yet. So read that again. Yeah.
3 times in a year shall all thy meals appear before the Most High thy Abba, in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread,
Unleavened bread,
and in the feast of weeks,
the Feast of Weeks,
and in the feast of tabernacles.
and the Feast of Tabernacles. So it's mentioning unleavened bread, it's mentioning the Feast of Weeks, and it's mentioning tabernacle, which is all on the winter side. Now you might be scratching your head like, I don't know what he's talking about. I'm about to explain it to you. Let's go to Ezekiel 45. Hezekiah, AP Hezekiah. Start at 45 and start at the 21st verse. Pay close attention. This blew my mind.
In the 1st month, in the 14th day of the month, ye shall have the Passover, a feast of 7 days. Unleavened bread shall be eaten.
Unleavened bread shall be eaten. We saw that in Exodus, the 23rd chapter, where that feast of unleavened bread is in the 1st month. It says here the 1st month of Abib. And as Uriah brought out, we don't deal with Abibs and all these other names at the Gentiles. We deal with the 1st month, the 1st day of the month. The 1st month, the 2nd day of the month. So this is how we deal. And then the years have not names, but numbers. The months has the numbers as well, like I just spoke. So we talk about the 1st month. Go ahead, the 22nd chapter.
Verse 22. And upon that day shall the prince prepare for himself and for all the people of the land a bullock for a sin offering.
So it's talking about the prince. And we also know, because we brought it out many times before in the House of Wisdom, that a prince is not a son of a king, but a priest. And for the lack of time, we're not going to bring that out here, but take my word for it. We have classes on it. So the prince is the priest who prepares the sin offering. So what king, son, ever produced sacrifices? There's not one. If he did, he dropped dead on the spot. It was the Levites who did it, so therefore proving that any sin offering that was given was by a priest. Let's read. The 23rd verse.
And 7 days of the feast he shall prepare a burnt offering to the Most High, 7 bullocks and 7 rams without blemish daily the 7 days, and the kid of the goats daily for a sin offering.
Come on.
And he shall prepare a meat offering of an ephah for a bullock, and of an ephah for a ram, and an hin of oil for an ephah.
Let me ask you a question for those that are in the 6th covenant by default, that's keeping the covenant by way of Moses. Can you tell me what a hin is? Because you're saying you're keeping the law of Moses, but are you measuring out this stuff? Do you know what a hin is? Do you know what a ephah is? Do you know what any of these things are? So you just can't keep the law of Moses to the best of your ability. That didn't work. The Most High said, give me a hin, and you gave him something else. He would not accept that at all. He's very specific in what he wants. And a lot of you understand that, but when it comes to another Hebrew Israelite trying to show you the way, are you going off? Do your research. You know the Most High was particular in what he wanted. You just couldn't give what you want. Think about the sons of Aaron who burnt strange fire unto the Most High. Why did they die? Because Abba said, do not burn no strange fire upon my altar. And they did, and they died. So if he asked for a hen in the sixth covenant, and you gave him, yeah. What happened?
He go on the hen.
Yeah.
That's it.
And if you gave something else, you would drop dead. He's very specific. So you guys that are in the sixth covenant, how are you keeping this? Where are your priests? Where are the Levites? Where's the temple? Where are the vessels? Where are all these things? And you're not even in Jerusalem. So as I would say, always, cut it out. Cut it out. You're only fooling yourself, man. Stop. Knock it off. So continue to read, brother. Call the chapter and the verse.
Ezekiel chapter 45 and verse 25. In the 7th month.
And what month?
The 7th month.
Read the first verse, the 21st verse.
In the 1st month.
Now go back to 25 and read that.
In the 7th
There's
month.
a difference. One side and the other side. But what do you do in this 7th month? Go ahead.
In the 15th day of the month.
Okay. What day is that? Who can tell me what holiday is that? Tabernacles. Yes, we got people that's been studying in the audience. This is Tabernacles on the winter side. But let's find out how you keep tabernacles. And I can guarantee you, most of you, especially Hebrews, are not doing this right here. Go ahead.
In the 7th month, in the 15th day of the month,
Tabernacles.
shall he do the like in the feast of 7 days.
Stop right there. What is the feast of 7 days?
Unleavened bread.
Unleavened bread. So this is why in Deuteronomy 16 and 16 it says the feast of unleavened bread, the feast of weeks, and tabernacles. It's talking about the winter side. And you are to keep the feast of tabernacles in the way that you keep the feast of unleavened bread.
That's heavy.
Who knew that? I didn't know that. And I know most of you do not understand that. So now the butterfly is coming to life. It's like, wait a minute. At the first month, first day of the month is the memorial blowing of trumpets. On the first, every month in the first month, in the first day of the month is the memorial blowing of trumpets. So we got the first month, the first day of the month where you blow your trumpet. And you got the first month of the first day of the 7th month, which is the memorial blowing of the trumpet, the same. First month, 7th month. Then you got the first month, 10th day of the month, which is an atonement where you prepare the atonement to be sacrificed. And then you got the 7th month and the 10th day of the month, which is the day of atonement. You see how it's mirroring each other? Then you have the first month, the 14th day at evening, which is the 15th day, is what? The Feast of Unleavened Bread. And then on the winter side, you have the 7th month, 15th day, which is Tabernacle, the butterfly effect. And as the brother just went over, from the beginning of that vernal equinox, you count 92 days. And then the beginning of that autumnal equinox, you count 92 days. And what are you getting? The Feast of Weeks. You have the butterfly effect. Cold and hot, summer and winter. This is the butterfly effect. So read 25 again from the top, and then we're going to read on.
Ezekiel chapter 45, verse 25. In the 7th month, in the 15th day of the month,
Tabernacles,
shall he do the like in the feast of 7 days,
which is unleavened bread,
according to the sin offering, according to the burnt offering, and according to the meat offering, and according to the oil.
So now we're getting some understanding. Abba Yahweh has done what he said he would do during the time of Daniel. In the last days, knowledge shall increase. What knowledge? Not modern technology, but the knowledge of the Heavenly Father and what it is that's going to please him. That thing has been hidden. The brothers went over it well. And what happened? They thought to change times and seasons, and they took away that. Then you got revelations that the brother brought out about how the dragon threw a third part of the stars of heaven and then stomped on it and cast it to the ground. Now, there's a doctrine that's out there that is pure madness. I'm going to tell you what it is so you can look out for it. Brothers will bring this scripture up, Revelation, the 12th chapter, and say that a third part of 12 is 2.5.
They didn't go to school.
Obviously, you need to go back to kindergarten because 1/3 of 12 is not 2.5. 5th grade, there you go, you know, and that's an upgrade from kindergarten. You need to go back to 5th grade. because a third of 12 is 4. Therefore, giving you the fact that there were 4 months that they took from us that had these high holy days that we don't keep at all. They hid it from us. And guess what? Abba Yahweh has given it back to us. All praises to the Most High, because now we're in the Feast of Weeks in the winter side, being able to please the Most High as he has given it to us. On the winter side and the summer side. And it's recorded in the scriptures. And we went over it, Exodus 23 and Deuteronomy 16, both sides.
So it's no different.
None. The same. Just one season and the next season. Butterfly. There it is. You understand what I'm saying? So now.
Checkmate.
Exactly. There we go. Checkmate. Game is over. But guess what? We got more. We got more, because this is what we do here at the House of Wisdom. We leave it undeniable for you to say, you going off. If you just arbitrarily just speak those words, then you're a fool. Because you should know better, like the men and the women that was of Berea. They received, the Bereans, they received the word of the Most High with all joy and anon. They were like, oh man, this is great. But listen, I got to check this out first. This sounds good, but let me check it out. You brothers and sisters are not doing that at all. So that means to say that you are not being wise. You have to check this out. If somebody is showing you something that you've never seen before, that your leaders are not showing you, you need to go check it out. And if you find out what it is that we're saying is true, you know what you need to tell your leaders? I'm out. Because they're going to tell you we're going off, but you see it with your own eyes. So you can't go before the Most High and say, brother so-and-so told me. That's why, I believed him. I thought he was, you don't want to do that. I want to be responsible for making my own decisions and not a man making that for me. Preach, you got something?
Yeah, it was a situation where a brother said, I don't read Jasher, Jubilees, Enoch, the book of Adam and Eve, the books of Adam and Eve, and all those different books. Because, my leader said, those books are not good. They're horrible. But then on the other end, he said, I read the book of Talmud. I read the book of Talmud. Wait, hold up. Why you read the book of Talmud? Oh, just to make sure that I can disprove anything that they say against us. I said, whoa, hold up. But so you choose to read the book of Talmud, but we see how you can keep the Feast of Weeks, but you don't want to go check that book out. Pure madness and trash, as Priest Gabriel said, be like the Bereans. Go search out and do that studying so that you can get an edification by way of the Most High Abba Yahweh.
Your life depends on it. You may not think so or believe so, but it does, and you will find out soon enough. So now we're going to go to an historian that a lot of Hebrew Israelites take advice from or use to prove certain things about the Hebrews. Now, Philo was a historian that was recorded the history of the Hebrew Israelites during the first century. Now, when we say first century, you say, well, what does it mean by first century? From year 1 AD to 100 is the first century. So Philo was a scholar or a scribe that wrote these things down. He wrote down this information about the things that was taking place and the events that was taking place among the Hebrews in their culture. So we're going to go to the book of Philo the Judean, the special law, book number 4, and we're going to start at verse 208. So pay close attention and listen to what is going on. So we're going to build up on something about the Feast of Harvest, or the harvest, and the things that he speaks about on it, and then we're going to go into this particular feast that he speaks about. So let's go ahead and read.
Chapter 40, verse 208. The commandment which came in the middle of the 3 injunctions about pairs, which was the one that was not to sow a vineyard so as to make it bear to crops at the same time.
Bear how many? Bear how many? To bear what?
To bear crops. 2 crops
exactly.
at the same time.
2 crops at the same time. He's going to tell you why. You don't want to plant 2 crops in the same particular place You know, especially if you're mass producing or you have a big field. Go ahead.
The object of the law being in the first place that those things which are of different species might not be confused by mixing together.
So you don't want to do that because you don't want them to cross-pollinate. You don't want to cross like they do here. They mix an orange with an apple, and then they mix a banana with something else. And then they mix all these fruits with something else to create something new. The Most High is against that. And Philo is telling you, according to the Hebrews, we don't mess around like that. So understand that. So let's go.
For crops grown from seed have no connection with trees, nor trees with crops grown from seed, on which account nature has not appointed to them both the same time for the production of their fruits.
So you have fruits that are like grassy, and then you got the fruits that are coming from trees. And they don't grow in the same season. They grow in different seasons. So you can't just grow all this stuff in one season. You know, like you got a strawberry, and the strawberry is a particular fruit that grows in a certain season, but you're planting it out of season, and then you go ahead and you sell it to the people out there. And that's pretty dangerous because if you grow a fruit out of season, do we really know that that fruit is going to produce what it's supposed to if it's grown out of season? We don't really know that. That's why you grow certain fruits in certain season. And he's explaining to you, this is what you need to do. Because I know our people, we are not agrarian people. We have some that know about crops and farming, but most of us, like what was said on the panel here, you just go to Walmart, we go to Kroger's or whatever, Stop and Shop, whatever you may go, and you just go ahead and I got a strawberry, I got the mangoes over here, and then I got all of these summer crops, and it's dead of the winter. And they don't, like the brother said, they don't even really be good. They're bitter. And why are they bitter? Because I remember when I was young, coming up, and apples were growing on trees in a certain season, and you would pick those apples out of the, woo! Those apples was sweet. It was juicy. Listen, yeah, I'm telling my age. So you got these fruits that you get in the store, and when you bite into them, why are they all bitter? It's because they not planting things according to the laws of nature or the laws of the Most High. He explains all of this in the scriptures, but there's nobody out there to explain it. Why? Because this is the time that the Most High appointed for his knowledge to increase. We're living in it right now. 30 years ago, that wasn't the time. 30 years ago was the time for Israel to start awakening to know who they were. And now that we spent all of this time, about 30 years that myself and Chief Priest been in this thing, you know, you've been in Israel for 30 years, and now it's like, what are you supposed to do as an Israelite? Keep the law, statutes, and commandments. Yeah, that's true.
Best of my abilities.
Yeah, to the best of my abilities. But listen, in the sixth covenant, you can't do best of your abilities. You just can't do that. So as an Israelite, what we're lacking as Israelites, as Hebrews, even the nations, the Gentiles that's coming in, what is lacking is what? The true worship of the Most High. We're not worshiping the Most High. When there's a feast, you're supposed to give a sacrifice. And I can tell you already what the feasts are like of most Hebrews. You come together, you know, you got the lamb, and you got, let's just deal with Pat. You got the lamb, you got all the stuff, you got all the workings there, and it's sitting on the fire, and the only thing you reading is Exodus. There's no worship going on. And you know I'm telling the truth because I've been there. And I can name the camps that I was with, and they all do the same thing. Oh, this is a great Passover, but there was no worship. There was no sacrifices given to the Most High. And you can't say that the lamb was the sacrifice because the Most High is not receiving that sacrifice anymore. Come on, man. Stop playing. We're trying to show you something, but you won't receive it. And that's fine because we're not begging you to come. Abba's not begging you to come. He said, I'm going to sit over here with my back turned. When you come and acknowledge your offense, then I will turn my face towards you and give you what it is you need. We're not begging you. You don't have to come. Because in the last days, when the Most High shows his true worshipers, you will be gnashing of teeth. And you will be sorry that I was right there. And some of you came in here and left. Right here. right at the helm of greatness, and you left for whatever reason. So let's read on.
But has assigned to the one that spring as the season of their harvest, while to the others it has appointed the end of summer.
Go ahead.
As the seasons for the gathering of their fruits.
So you have a summer fruit, then you have a winter fruit. You can't plant them all at the same time, and you don't plant them all close together so they can mix. So he's giving you an idea for an agrarian people how to grow your crops, because you just can't give anything to the Most High. The Most High don't want trash. He doesn't want the garbage. So let's go ahead.
Harvest in the winter and harvest in the summer.
Yeah, don't read it. Yeah, numbers. Go ahead.
Accordingly, it happens that at the same period of the year, the one are become withered have been in the bloom at the earlier time, which the others are just budding, having been dried up before.
Go ahead.
For the crops which are produced from seeds begin to flourish in the winter, when the trees are losing their leaves, and in the spring, on the contrary, when all the crops which are produced from the seeds are drying up. The wood of all trees, whether wild or improved by cultivation, are shooting. And one may almost say that the period in which the crops which are produced from the seeds come to perfection in the same as that which those of the trees derived the beginning their productiveness.
So what is he saying? He's saying that while one crop during the summer is withering away, you got the winter crops that are blooming. And while that finally begins to wither away, you got the summer that is blooming. So it's a nice, perfect cycle. So let's say your harvest is jacked up in the spring. You got the winter to rely on, because like, whoa, this harvest was crazy this summer. Everything's dried up. But we got the winter to rely on the food so we can eat. Think about if you went a whole year without eating anything. You would not make it. We wouldn't have to keep the Feast of Weeks, because we wouldn't be alive to keep the Feast of Weeks. So this is all that he's explaining. So before I move on, I want Brother Obadiah to put in your ears the winter. Is it the winter first? Yeah, the winter crops, vegetables, and then the winter fruits. So you can have an idea of what grows in the winter and the fruits that grow in the winter. Go ahead.
This is a list of tasty vegetables that grow in the winter. Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, kale, broccoli, parsnip, butternut squash, winter cabbage, carrots, pumpkins, onions, leeks, turnips, beets, fennel, and radichoke.
So let me ask you a question. The Most High put in his law, which Priest Johanna brought out in the true 10 Commandments, Exodus the 34th chapter, that he want his first fruit. So you mean to tell me in the wintertime, this winter season, Abba doesn't want that? I just want what's in the summer. No, he wants the winter. And you can't save this winter fruit all the way to the spring, because it'll be rotten. So when those things are ready to be harvested, Abba says, I want it, and I want it fresh. And I want the best of what you got. So these are winter, vegetables that we read?
Vegetables.
Okay, let's go into the winter fruits.
Grapefruit, cranberry, clementines, pomegranate, apples, pears, hardy kiwi, permissions, pomelo, and strawberries.
Abba wants those. Don't think that he doesn't. He does. So if they're winter crops, then there has to be a Feast of Weeks on the winter side. We already proved that. But I'm just trying to dig in more to go deeper so you can see that these crops grow in the winter. And if you grow them in the summer, something is going to be greatly and grossly off with these fruits. I wouldn't trust them. I wouldn't trust them at all. And a chief priest had brought out one time that, it might even have something to do with our health. That if we eat the winter fruits in winter, and then the summer fruits in the summer, our health would probably be prime. But we eating everything out of season. We got all this chemicals in it. We got all this genetically madness that's going on. Our health is failing. We got to do extra stuff to be able to get the nutrients out of these foods because there is none. And Philo going to go into why there is no nutrients in the food. So let's go into the summer vegetables and then go into the summer fruits.
Tomatoes, corn, peppers, cucumber, carrots, celery, eggplant, and green beans.
See that? The Abba wants it, and that's in the summer. So there's a Feast of Weeks on the summer side. And it doesn't matter if you understand it or not, or if you believe it or not, this still going to go on. It doesn't matter if you don't believe it. It is what it is. And eventually you will reap, you know what I mean? What's the word I want to use? You will reap the negative benefits of not keeping these feasts. So let's read the fruits and then let's read on. The summer fruits.
Watermelon.
And let me say, watermelon. There's watermelons in the grocery store right now. Yeah, and most of them are seedless. Would you really trust that? But let's go ahead.
Berries, cantaloupe, honeydew melon, pears, peaches, nectarines, plums, apples,
Some more apples,
grapes, mangoes, bananas, avocados, lemons, and limes.
See that? These are the winter and summer fruits, and Abba wants them. He wants it all. And Priest Uriah brought out the scripture. I forgot which one it was. Might have been Leviticus, where the Most High wants your sons. Your first fruits, your first of the cattle, your first of your firstborn. The Most High wants it. He wants everything. And you might say, well, what was the Most High going to sacrifice your son? No, he's not going to do that. Abba's not crazy. But what he tells you, if you read, and a lot of us don't, because I'm going to tell you something, in these other camps, they never went over this. That the priests, when you offer up your son as the first fruits, he says, well, listen, I can't do nothing with it. And if I did do it, your son would be dedicated to the temple. But the Most High says, listen, you can redeem your son back. Whatever the priest tells you, it is an equal pricing for that. To give you an example, I have my son. I want to offer up my son, but I want to redeem my son. The priest says, well, give me 3 lambs. And then you can redeem your son. You give him the 3 lambs, and then now you have your son. Or a priest might say, well, if you got a bullock, give me a bullock. Then if you couldn't afford it, then he might say, well, look, as something cheaper, well, look, give me 15 turtle doves. You see, and then you can redeem your son back. So the Most High wants the first of everything. This is a commandment. You got something?
So essentially what you're saying is when it was time to be redeemed by way of the Most High Abba Yahweh, there was always equity. Not like in today's society where, if you ain't got no money, then it's over with. Exactly. As Priest Gabar is bringing out, no matter what, the Most High shows forth that third pillar of wisdom. Knowledge, understanding, discretion, equity, or I should say fourth pillar of wisdom. So with that being said, there's always equity from the beginning or from the first fruits even till now and even till after now.
Right. And even when you give up a sin offering to show you how deep it is, and like I said, I didn't know this outside of here, but you have, when you're giving a sin offering, you have priests, not priests, you have men that were of different statures. Like a king, when he gave up a sin offering, it's like, you got the money, you're going to give me a bullock. And then you had certain levels of maybe governors and senators. Well, you give me a lamb or a goat or something else that was a bigger cattle. And the Most High said, listen, if you don't have any money and you poor, then offer up the bread. The Abba is just in everything. Yeah. And guess what? He going to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. I want mine. You can't afford it? Give me the bread. You can afford a little bit? Give me the land. Man, you rich. You got money. I want a bullock. Let me get that. And that's the only way you can give up a sin offering with that kind of money. You can't come with some bread and say, I want to give a sin offering and say, man, listen, get to the back of the line. You playing.
So what if I came with
a little piece of mint? Listen, you got to give more than that. And mint and cumin and those things were expensive at that time, but it's just more to it than that. You see? So let's finish up with this, because time is fleeting. Let's go to verse 210 in Philo.
Very naturally, therefore, as Most High separated things so wholly different from one another.
So it was different from, and he did what? He separated these things. So why is man mixing and mingling and crossbreeding and genetically modifying? Because these evil spirits of sin that was spoken about in the beginning of this class by Johanna want to destroy us. This is their whole purpose of existing, is to destroy us. So Philo was saying we are not to do these things. The Most High had created them different. Go ahead.
Both in their natures and in the period of the flowering and in the seasons of their producing their appropriate fruits.
See that? And they're different seasons. Go ahead.
And has appointed different situations for them, producing order out of disorder. For order is closely connected with arrangement, and disorder with a warrant of arrangement.
See that? Meaning it needs to be arranged. If it's out of order, it needs to be arranged. So let's go ahead. 2:11.
And in the second place, in order that the different species.
Read that again.
And in the second place, in order that two different species.
Go ahead.
May not go through the reciprocal system of inflicting and suffering injury.
What does that mean? Suffering injury. A lot of us don't know because we don't know plants. You know that plants war with each other. They fight for territory. They fight for nourishment. Some plants, if you plant them next to other plants, they're going to take the nourishment, take over them, and kill the good plants. So you got plants that war with each other. So you got to keep them separate so that they don't battle and fight against each other for the control of the nutrients that's in the ground. So if you keep them separate, we have enough over here to do our thing. You see? So this thing is deep. Abba, the knowledge that he has prepared for us, it is more than this world can ever give you. A Bentley is not going to give you wisdom. $1 million and chasing the bag is not going to give you wisdom. The scriptures tell you wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. Not this money. The Most High says this money, your riches shall not deliver you in the day of judgment. What's going to deliver you? Knowledge, wisdom. Of what though? Of the Most High and what he wants. What he needs you to do in order to get clean, to come into this pristine place called the kingdom of heaven, which will be here on earth, but also will be able to travel back and forth into the third heavens from the second heavens. And Chief Priest goes over that in full detail about the different heavens, the seven heavens. So look it up, watch it. You'll learn and glean a lot from that. So let's read on.
Because of one kind drawing away the nourishment from the other kind.
See that? The one kind is drawing away nourishment from the other kind. Go ahead.
While if that nourishment is divided into small portions, as happened in time of famine and of scarcity of necessities, all plants of every kind will in every place become weak and will be either afflicted with barrenness, becoming utterly unproductive, or all at even will never bear tolerable fine fruits, inasmuch as they have been previously weakened by want of nourishment.
So he's telling you everything that he's telling you how things should be done and how things should be separated, that if it's not done, it's going to cause the fruit or the plant to become weak. And guess what? We learned that in this society that we live in, they do everything opposite to what Philo is telling us. This is why this food is weak. This is why you can eat this food and get tired. How do you eat food and get tired when it's supposed to give you energy? The food is weak. It's not producing. And why? Because Hasatan has gotten the mind of men like Bill Gates to say, I can create something in the laboratory that can last 4 or 5 or 6 days before they get to the grocery store, and we can make loads of money. Wickedness. You don't care nothing about the lives and the health of the people. You care more about money and your own greediness than the life of your brethren and sisters that are here on this earth. Believe me, you will pay for the things that you have done. All of us. I ain't just talking about Bill Gates. I'm talking about every last one of us. All the wickedness that we've performed on this earth, we shall pay for it, and you shall not escape. Let's go on.
And in the third place, in order that the natural fertile land may not be oppressed with burdens beyond its strength, partly by the continued and uninterrupted thickness of the crops which are sown, and of the trees which are planted in the same place, and partly by doubling of the crops which are extracted from the ground, for it ought to be quite sufficient for the owner to draw one yearly tribute from one spot, just as it is sufficient for a king to receive his tribute from a city once a year.
Go ahead.
And to endeavor to extract larger revenues is the act of exceeding covetousness, by which all the laws of nature are attempted to be overturned.
We just spoke about that. Let me see. And to the endeavor to extract larger revenues, they create things in the lab to say, listen, if we create this, we can make a lot of money from it. The act of exceeding covetousness, which by which all the laws of nature are attempting to be overturned. These guys are wicked. Don't think nothing else. There's nothing but wickedness coming from these leaders. Do not trust them whatsoever. You better start learning how to trust the Most High, because if not, when they turn their backs on you and leave you for the dunghill, you are not going to have anybody to help you. The only thing, or the only one that's going to be there to help you is Abba Yahweh. And you need to start preparing for that now, not then. Because the Most High will not hear your cries. So 2:13.
For which reason the law might well say to those who have determined to sow their vineyards with seed out of pure covetousness, do not you be worse than those kings who have subdued cities with arms and warlike expeditions, for even they, for the prudent regard for the future, for from a prosperous wish to spare the subjects, are content to receive one payment of tribute each year, as they are desirous not to reduce the utter to their very extreme of want and distress in a short time.
So they are desirous not to reduce them utterly to the very extremity of want and distress for a short time. What that means is we don't give a rat's behind about anything else but our bottom dollar, and we cannot go lower from year to year, but we have to increase from year to year. So we don't want to reduce the money that's coming in. So whatever you can do to bring us in more profits, I don't care if there's no nutrients in it and it's just like eating cardboard, sell it to them. We want the money. And he's saying, don't be like them. And listen, this is in the 1st century. And this is a pure reflection of what he's talking about. But in 2024, they have gotten worse. I mean, it's crazy how worse they've gotten. But let's read on so we can get through this.
But if you in the spring,
2:14, go ahead.
2:14. But if you in the spring exact from the same piece of the ground crops of barley and the wheat, and in the summer the crops from the fruit-bearing trees, you will be exhausting it by double contribution. For when it very well naturally groweth faint and fail, like an athlete who is never abroad any time to take breath, to collect the strength for the beginning of one contest.
So he's saying if you do what these guys do and you keep working the land, you keep working the land, you keep working the land, according to the law, the Most High says, how many years do we grow a crop in a particular portion of land? Let me get another answer. I'm going to ask the question, who said that? 6. You grow the crop in this land for 6 years. In the 7th year, you let it rest. So all the crops that grow, you glean from it, you don't harvest it, and you let it all fall to the ground. Because all of that stuff that falls to the ground is like compost. It makes the land more richer. It makes it more nutrient rich. And the land gets to say, woo, I was working myself. I get the rest. Thank you, Abba. Woo, I'm asleep this whole time. And now when it gets to produce in that 8th year, it produces strength. But what does this man do? year after year after year after year, he enslaving the earth. And then the earth gets so tired, it's like, I can't do no more. And then the wicked says, we're going to put mechanical legs on you and keep you working. This is why the food is not yielding its strength, because the land is like, man, I ain't got nothing. I got nothing for you. In fact, there's no nutrients here. So anything you get from me is going to be what? Bitter. Why the food is bitter. Why the vegetables are no good. That's why there's no nutrients in it. How do you eat something that has these nutrients in it, and the moment you eat it, you get itis? It's not supposed to be that way, because they are going opposite and contrary against the laws of the Most High. Let's read on.
But you seem rashly to forget those precepts.
So read that again.
But you seem rashly to forget those precepts.
You seem rashly to forget those precepts. And to your defense, you don't know. Ain't nobody telling you. But we're telling you. And a lot of you are still saying, you going off. Well, then we're not talking about you. We're talking about those that are receiving it. So let's read on.
Those precepts of general advantage, which I enjoined you to observe.
I enjoin you to observe. Check this out. Go ahead.
For, at all events, if you had recollected the commandments concerning the seventh year.
See that? If you had remembered the commandments of the seventh year, and listen, the Philo is so deep. If you don't believe in Philo, fine. Close the book and go back to your church and, be covered in the blood of Jesus and wait for your Jesus to come. I can guarantee you with my life, your Jesus will never show up. He'll never show up. Go ahead.
In which I've commanded you to allow the land to remain fallow and sacred, without being exhausted by the agricultural operations of any kind.
See that? You got to let it rest and not to be exhausted by any agricultural operation of any kind. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
By reason of the labors which have been going through for the six preceding years.
See, so he's going through the same thing that I went through, but he's telling you, like I told you, this is scriptural. You have to keep it. Abba knows what's best for all of us. This mankind, he's being led by Hasatan, or the Hasatans. He's being led by them to destroy us all. Even those that he's controlled over. He cared nothing about it. Go ahead.
And which is undergone, producing its crop at the appointed season of the year, is in accordance with the ordinance of nature.
See that? And what he means is by the will of the Most High, the way he created things and set things up. Go ahead.
You would not now be introducing innovations and giving vent to all of your covetous desires.
See that? New inventions. Introducing inventions. Listen, we got a tomato that's redder. We got a tomato that's bigger. And look at the apples. The apples that we used to eat years ago were smaller. Now you got these big old Granny apples and these big old red apples, and you got all of these apples are huge. They're inventions. He's saying, do not. This is interesting because you think that you're living in a time where we're doing something different than our forefathers. Guess what? We're not. Go ahead.
Be seeking for unprecedented crops, sowing a land fit for the growing of trees, and especially one planted with vines, in order by 2 crops every year, both being founded in iniquity.
See, both being founded or being planted or being utilized in iniquity. Go ahead.
To increase your substance.
To increase our bottom line, money. Philo is telling you not to do that. As a Judean, as a Hebrew, he's telling you we should not do that. But guess who else is telling you not to do that? The House of Wisdom here. There's other Hebrews that know about this as well. So I'm not taking nothing from what you do know. There are other Hebrews that understand that and teach that as well. But go ahead.
To increase your substance out of undue avarice, amassing money by lawless desires.
See that? Crazy. Crazy what he's speaking here. And this is a scholar. What's the word I want to use for this guy? I know it's not scholar, but he kept track of the records of Israel. Scribe, yeah, a scribe, historian. That's what I wanted. He's an historian that kept records, that knew about the family and the customs and tradition about the Hebrews, because he was a Hebrew himself. But let's go ahead. Did you finish that?
Con 2:16.
Oh, you finished 2:16?
No, I'm at 2:16.
Okay, go ahead.
Yep. For the same man would never endure to let the land lie fallow every 70 years without extracting any revenues from it, for the sake of not having his land exhausted by overproduction, but of allowing it to recover itself by rest, and yet at the same time to oppress and overwhelm it by double burdens.
So they're oppressing the land. The land is in captivity. The people are in captivity. The animals are in captivity. Everything on this earth by these Hasatans are in captivity. Showing you what? That everything and everyone is miserable. What does Proverbs tell us? When the righteous beareth rule, what happens to the people? They rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, what happens to the people? They mourn. Are you happy now? No. We're in mourning. All of us are in mourning. I'm going to tell you something. These guys that got all of this money, they'll even tell you, if you sit down and talk to them, they're miserable. There was a basketball player that was on, I forgot what, somewhere I saw on YouTube, and they asked him, as a basketball player, you made all this money. They asked, are you happy? And immediately, he didn't go, let me think about it. He's like, no. It's like, well, why not? He said, man, I've been playing basketball since I was a child, all the way up into an adult. And now I don't know what else to do. He's miserable. Robin Williams, the one that starred in Mork and Mindy, Miss Doubtfire, you would figure this guy had all this money, all this fame. This guy was miserable, and then he killed himself. Even Cardi B at one time, Chris Brown at one time, all of your favorite celebrities at one time says, I'm miserable and I don't want to serve this demon anymore. But if I want to keep making this money, I have to do it. I'm tired. And what does that relate to? They are miserable because the wicked are in authority. Don't let them fool you. And don't chase that proverbial carrot, because you will get nowhere trying to become a rap star, trying to become a model, trying to become a famous actor. Any of this matter, a sports player, you're only chasing a proverbial carrot, which is going to lead you into death. And you don't have to believe me. You just continue doing what you're doing, and eventually you will see that. So did you finish reading that? Okay, so now, after reading all that, we're going to begin to close out my portion of this. We're going into Philo, the Judean, the Special Laws, book number 2, chapter 33, and then we're going to start at verse 204. So now we got Philo. He spoke about Salaki. He spoke about the agriculture, how he's supposed to do it, what these guys that are wicked are doing. But now he's going to go into this particular festival, because a lot of you still don't want to believe that there's 2 seasons and that there is a feast of weeks on the winter side. So Philo is going to talk to you about this feast that is similar to the feast of weeks in the summer. Let's see what he has to say about that. Go ahead and read Hezekiah.
Philo the Judean, Special Laws Book 2.
Come on.
204. The last of all the annual festivals is that which is called the Feast of Tabernacles.
And we already went through that. Why is he starting off with the Feast of Tabernacles? You see that? Like the brother said, the winter season. Pay attention. You don't have to believe me. This is a historian that's telling you what's going on. So he's starting off not with the Feast of Unleavened Bread, but the Feast of Tabernacles, the winter season. Go ahead.
Which is fixed for the season of the autumnal equinox.
So he's saying it's fixed. So every year on the autumnal equinox, this begins the 7th month. So you can't change it. So if you're following it by the moon, you'll never come to the autumnal equinox, because the moon is not perfect in her movement. She kind of does what she wants. The Most High and our forefathers told us not to follow the moon, but to follow the system that was set up by the solar 30-30 30, 30, 30, and then 31 as priest Uriah had brought out. And this is the cycle of the solar 30, 30, 30, and then you have the intercalary day, 30, 30, 30, then you have another intercalary day, 30, 30, 30 for the full year. This is how we move. The moon does not move that way. So when you start following the moon, you are grossly in error. And you don't have to believe me, that's fine. You keep following the moon. You keep looking for that black moon. And you keep looking for that crescent. You will always be off. And here's the madness in it. Today could be Tuesday, the ending of the month for them, right? And then the next day on Wednesday, we got the ending of the month, and it might be day 28. Then you got the crescent. Oh, the crescent is here. We got a new month. So it goes from 28 to 1. And it goes from Tuesday to Wednesday. That's pure madness. When the Most High is showing you that we have 52 perfect weeks, you can't get any perfect than that. What does that mean, that the 52 weeks being in its perfection? That means that if your birthday is March 29th and it's on a Friday, next year your birthday is going to be March 29th on a Friday. That's perfection. But with this 365 days and these 13 months and all this madness that's coming on, your birthday's on Friday this year, next year it's on a Saturday. The year after that is on a Sunday. And then after that it's on a Monday. That's not perfection. Perfection is every year at the same time, at the same space, we doing the same thing. And all of these things are set in the heavens. It cannot be moved. But yet you got man trying to move it. So y'all go ahead with the movement. We're going to stick with Abba Yahweh. Let's read on. You Hezekiah.
And by this festival, the lawgiver teaches 2 lessons, both that it is necessary to honor equality, the first principle and the beginning of justice.
Yeah, being equity. Those are the fruits of the Spirit. The fruits of the 7 pillars of wisdom. Equity, the 4th pillar of wisdom is equity, being equality or equitable in all things. Go ahead.
The principle akin to unshadowed light, and that is becoming also, after witnessing the perfection of all the fruits of the year, to give thanks to that being who has made them perfect.
Abba. This is what he's talking about. And then all the things that we went to prior is showing that if we keep things in that way, the fruit that we receive will be perfect. All of them will be good. I'm talking about, you can probably, and I've never done it before, but I did have a raw green pepper. But I can believe that if you grow this thing right, if you bite into a green pepper, that thing would be so good. It'd be like, man, I don't need nothing else. Let me just eat this pepper. Then I eat this red pepper. Then I'll eat this other fruit. Let me get a carrot. And it'll all be tasty. Have your taste buds jumping. But this stuff here, too bitter. Go ahead.
2:10. Again, the beginning of this festival is appointed for the 15th day of the month.
Go ahead.
On account of the reason which has already been mentioned respecting the spring season. Also that the world may be full, not by day only, but also by night.
Go ahead.
Of the most beautiful light, the sun and moon, on their rising opposite to one another with uninterrupted light, without any darkness interposing itself between so as to divide them.
Go ahead.
2:15. There is, besides all these, another festival.
Whoa. Read that again.
There is, besides all these, another festival.
So he's saying, the Feast of Tabernacle, this is when it starts. This is kind of what we do. But here's another feast also. But when is that feast? In the winter season. It's going to explain to it. So there is, besides all of these, there is another feast. Go ahead.
Sacred to Abba.
Oh, he said it was sacred to Abba. So if we're not keeping it, how does the Father feel about that? If this is sacred to me and you don't keep it, then I'm upset. Rob, they go to a brother, he said it, robbed it. And I wanted to bring out a point earlier, but I'm going to bring it out now, right? If somebody broke in your house and your wife says, honey, there's somebody downstairs, and you got your weapon, and you said, somebody, you got the nerve to break in my house and steal from me? when I catch you, I'm going to beat you so bad you will never steal from somebody else again. So how do you think Abba feels when you robbing him? You got the nerve to rob me? Okay, since you want to rob me, I'm going to turn my back on you and let all of these demonic spirits attack you until you acknowledge the fact that you robbed me and give me back what you stole. And what did you rob the Most High with? Tithes and offering. You guys are paying attention. That's good. All praises. So you can't rob the Most High and think you're going to get away with it. So there is another festival that is sacred to the Most High, and he wants it. And what is Philo talking about? He's going to tell you. And it's on the winter side, not the summer side. Go ahead.
And a solemn assembly.
Ooh, and a solemn assembly. Go ahead.
On the day of the festival, which is called Castus.
And he's calling it Castus. That's like, wow, we never heard of Castus before. But at the time that he was in the first century, what did I say the first century was? Between what dates? 1 and 100, the first century. So we're not talking about during the time of Moses. So he's speaking about this during that particular time, which is showing us what? Can you find Castus in the scriptures? In the Old Testament? It's not there. It had changed. They shall think to change times and seasons. So it had changed from one thing to another. Now it's called Castus, but he's going to explain to you about Castus. Go ahead.
Castus is interpreted a basket with a pointed bottom.
You guys seen that, right? You seen that picture of a basket, and it starts wide, and then it comes all the way down. It kind of like goes into a loop or something, and there's fruit all in it. So he's saying this is part of what the feast is all about. Go ahead.
From the event that takes place in it, as we shall show presently.
See, go ahead.
Now that this festival is not in the same rank, nor of the same importance with the other festivals.
So listen to what he's saying, right? He's saying this feast is sacred, but it's not as important as the other festivals. If it's sacred, it's sacred. And it is important because you're going to see his confusion. I'm not sure, it's not as important as the others. And he's going to explain why he thinks it's not as important as the others, but then goes to show the importance of what they're doing is exactly like another feast that we keep. Go ahead.
Is plain for many considerations. For, first of all, it is not one to be observed by the whole population of the nation as each of the others is. Secondly, none of the things that are brought or offered are laid upon the altar as holy or committed to the unextinguishable and holy fire.
So he's saying that this festival is not in the same rank nor of the same importance as other festivals. So he's not sure because listen to what he says, and Most High willing, I'll be able to bring out the point. The point of that, it is plain from many considerations. But first of all, it is not to be observed by the whole population, and it is, but they have forgotten. He's thinking that just the priests do it for some particular reason. They actually do it, but we actually see them doing it, but we don't really take part in it when they should. But he's going to explain more. Go ahead.
Thirdly, the very number of days which are to be observed in the festival are not expressly stated.
So he don't really know. It's confusing about it, but he's going to go on. Go ahead.
2:16. Nevertheless, anyone may easily see that it has about it some of the characteristics of a sacred festival.
So, read that again.
Nevertheless, anyone may easily see.
Anyone may easily see, not difficultly, easily, clearly see. Go ahead.
That it has about it some of the characteristics of a sacred
festival. So it has
festival.
the same characteristics of this particular sacred festival. Go ahead.
And that it comes very near to having the privileges of a solemn assembly.
So it's almost close to really being so sacred, almost like a solemn assembly. But he said earlier they don't assemble together. But this is so similar to this. It should have a solemn assembly. Go ahead. For there should be a solemn assembly. Go ahead.
For every one of those men who had lands and possessions, having filled vessels with every different species of fruit borne by fruit-bearing trees, which vessels, as I have said before, are called casteli.
See? That's
Brings-
the basket with the pointed end. Go ahead.
Brings with great joy the first fruits of his abundant crop.
Whoa. Slow down. Let's slow down. So castellus, it brings with great joy the what?
First
The
fruits.
first fruits. Whew. We getting close now. You know that little game, when you're looking for something, you're getting warmer. You're getting warm. We getting warm now. We getting warm. Go ahead.
Brings with great joy the first fruits of his abundant crop into the temple.
They bringing it where?
Into the temple.
What did you do in the first fruits? You brought it to the priest. The brothers that brought out, and in particular Uriah, that you bring it before the priest and they wave the sheaf offering. You're getting warmer. In fact, you're getting hot. Starting to get hot up in here. Let's go.
And standing in front of the altar, gives the basket to the priest.
He do what? What do they do?
Gives the basket to the priest.
What is the priest going to do with it? Go ahead.
Uttering at the same time the very beautiful and admirable hymn.
So when he's giving it to the priest receives it, and now he starts to sing a song. We hot now. Oh, it's so hot. The next one we bring out, you're going to be on fire. You know that song is getting hot in here? It's burning up in here. Go ahead.
Uttering at the same time the very beautiful and admirable hymn prescribed for the occasion.
Prescribed, meaning given to them by Abba for the occasion. Go ahead.
And if he does not happen to remember it, he listens to it with all attention while the priest recites it.
So if you don't remember, then the priests are going to recite it because they remember. They're supposed to know it. Go ahead.
2:17. And the hymn is as follows.
This is what the hymn is as follows. So we're going to stop right there for a minute. Can you give me Deuteronomy? Deuteronomy 26 and start at the first verse.
And it shall be.
No. Hey, hold on. Don't get ahead of me. 1 second. Wait a minute. Just bear with me for 1 minute. Let me just set this up. Okay, good. All right. Now, go ahead. AP. Not you. Your Hezekiah.
And it shall be when thou art come in unto the land which the Most High thy Abba giveth thee for an inheritance.
Where are you? I lost you. No. I want you to get Deuteronomy. I want you. I don't want you. No. But I want you to read Castus. Start at 2:16 again. As a matter of fact, 2:17.
And the hymn is as follows.
This is the hymn that is as follows. Go ahead.
The leaders of our nation renounced Syria and migrated to Egypt.
Go ahead.
Being but few in number, they increased till they became a populous nation.
So he's saying this is what the hymn that they're singing in this feast on the winter side. And this is very similar to another feast that's on the summer side. I don't really understand it that much, but it's quite similar. And it almost deserves the respect of being a solemn feast. But this is showing you that by that time, the first century, when that came about, they were beginning to lose the understanding of this feast. Hence, what priest Johanna brought out in Revelations and in Daniel's about they shall seek to change times and they shall remove the third part of heavens and stomp it to the ground. They're removing the days where there's feast at, where we don't remember. This is the beginning of them moving away from that. So continue on with this particular hymn that they speak.
Their descendants being oppressed in innumerable ways by the natives of the land, when no assistance did any longer appear to be expected from men, became the supplicants of Abba, having fled for refuge to entreat his assistance. 2:18. Therefore he, who is merciful to all who are unjustly treated, having received their supplication, smote those who oppressed them with signs and wonders and prodigies, and with all the marvelous works which he wrought at that time. And he delivered those who, being insulted and enduring every kind of perfidious oppression, not only leading them forth to freedom, but even giving them in addition a most fertile land.
So stop right there. So now let's go to Deuteronomy. And go ahead and start. As a matter of fact, start at the first verse. The point is in the 6th verse. I'm going to read this one more time before he goes into it. So he's speaking about this feast that you bring in your first fruits. They called it Castus at the time. And when they gave the priest the basket, the priest took the basket and he began to get ready to put it on the altar. And he began to sing a hymn as follows. The leaders of our nation renounced Syria and migrated to Egypt. Let's read Deuteronomy.
And it shall be, when thou art come into the land which the Most High thy power giveth thee for an inheritance.
So this is the children of Israel coming out of Egypt during that time. And he's telling them, when you come into this land that I give you, here's the instructions I want you to follow. And believe me, you wasn't going to just do what you want to do. So here's the instructions that I need you to follow. Go ahead.
And possesseth it, and dwellest therein, that thou shalt take of the first of all the fruits of the earth, which thou shalt bring of the land that the Most High thy Abba
Read
giveth
that
thee.
again. That thou will take the first, what?
And thou shalt take of the first of all the fruit.
So it's talking about first fruits, the Feast of Weeks. And what are you going to do during this Feast of Weeks? Go ahead.
Which thou shalt bring of the land that thou, the Most High thy Abba, giveth thee.
And remember, the Most High brought them out in the first month. And he told you when you get in that land where you're supposed to be, you're going to take the first fruits and do something with it. Go ahead.
And shall put it in a basket.
Put it where?
In a basket.
Did not they put it in the basket? But he said they called it Castus. So they put their first fruits in the basket, just like Moses did. Go ahead.
And it shall go unto the place which the Most High thy power shall choose to place his name there.
And what was that place? It was Jerusalem. We're at in Jerusalem, at the temple. To who? The priest. Let's go.
And thou shalt go unto the priest.
And thou shalt do what?
Go unto the priest.
He said that in this feast, they brought this basket to the priest. This is hot. It is so hot you can't hold it right now. Go ahead.
Thou shalt be in those days, and say unto him, I profess this day unto the Most High thy Abba, that I have come unto the country which the Most High swore unto the fathers to give us.
What verse are you in? Go ahead.
And the priest shall take the basket out of thy land, and set it down before the altar of the Most High thy power.
He said he saw this. Philo said he saw all of this, and it was very similar to another festival. And now we're seeing that it is the Feast of Weeks. The same exact thing he saw in the winter side that they were keeping, this was done on the summer side. Go ahead.
And thou shalt speak and say before the Most High thy Abba, a Syrian ready to perish.
Go ahead.
Was my father, and he went down into Egypt and sojourned there with a few, and became there a nation, great, mighty, and populous.
So what's going on here now? The hymn is being sung. The leaders of our nation renounced Syria and migrated to Egypt. But being few in number, they increased, so they have become a populous nation. So their descendants being oppressed in innumerable ways by the natives of the land. Who was the natives of the land? Who was it? Egyptians. So it's speaking the same thing. Finish that out. Whatever is highlighted.
Oh.
What is it? End over there. Where it's highlighted. Oh, you don't. Okay, Deuteronomy. Where do I end in Deuteronomy? Because I don't have it on here. Okay, verse 11. Okay, there we go. Yeah, all the way to verse 11, and then we can go back.
And thou shalt rejoice in every good thing which the Most High thy Abba have given unto thee, and unto thine house, thou and the Levites and the strangers that is among you.
What verse?
11.
Go ahead.
When thou hast made an end of tithing, all the tithes of thine increase the third year.
Oh, well, that's good. Salakia. So let's go back to Philo and finish this thing out on my portion. So we read 2:17 and we read Deuteronomy, and they're connecting. Now you should understand what he was seeing that he called Castus was the winter feast of weeks. Rasheen, what do you always say?
Checkmate.
Checkmate. It's over.
And it ain't hot no more. They got 3rd-degree burns.
Yeah. You can't even
Burning
survive anymore. It is done. Now,
They on
like I
fire.
said, you don't have to believe nothing we're telling you. It's all recorded here, and the historians that were Jews, Judeans, Hebrew Israelites are confirming the same thing that Abba has revealed to us. We didn't get this from the desert penguins. We did not get this from them at all. Your problem is, especially among the Hebrew persuasions, you think that because they're saying, I am Jewish, we are the chosen people of the Most High. You believe that, so anything that comes out of their mouth, you believe it. Say, well, we ain't gonna follow them. We just gonna take what they gave us and we're gonna claim it for ourselves. We're not doing that at all here at the House of Wisdom. We don't trust the word they say. We don't need them as an authority of the scriptures. We are the authorities of the scriptures. We are the people of the Bible, and we are the ones that the Most High is gonna use to interpret and wake our people up, not them. Y'all had many years to do this. Y'all had over 75 years since 1948, and you became a state to be able to turn the world around and have everybody following after your ways and follow the Most High, and all you've done is pure wickedness. Think about all the stuff that's going on and that's being revealed about these desert penguins, and not only in their particular land, but also in New York City, the tunnels. I'm not going to mention too many specific names, but those desert penguins, they have built tunnels in New York City, and all kind of abominations was going on. And you, the people of the Most High, not. I would not listen to one word you tell me, not one, because your actions are showing that you are wicked, and that Hasatan is your daddy. So we have nothing to do with anything that you say or that you produce. You other Hebrews, you go ahead and keep following them, because they know, especially their leaders, they know they want to keep this from you. Let's go back to Castus and let's hit 2:18 and 2:19, and we can call it.
Therefore, he who is merciful to all who are unjustly treated, having received their supplication, smote those who oppressed them with signs and wonders and prodigies, and with all the marvelous works which he wrought at that time.
So he's talking about what Moses did to the Egyptians. And guess what? The same thing is going to happen to the modern day Egyptians. These other wicked nations that have joined forces to keep this knowledge and to keep Abba Yahweh from our ears and our chambers of imagery. You're going to pay for what you've done. You've oppressed the land. You've oppressed the people. You have oppressed the plants. You have oppressed the animals. You have oppressed everything on this earth. And you have even oppressed the water. And you say, water? Well, you know water is living, right? Water is a living and breathing entity. And it was proven by a scientist. His last name is Omoto, an Asian guy who did a study on water. And he had one water that he wrote and also spoke negative affirmations to. And then he had a bottle of water that he wrote and spoke positive affirmations to. And then he froze them both. And then when he shaved them off and looked under a microscope, the one that was given negative attributes, their crystals were deformed. But the one that he spoke positive affirmations to, they were beautiful crystals, and they were all different and beautiful like snowflakes. What is it telling you? That water is living. So if you speak negative to it, it's going to be deformed. It's not going to be well. It's not going to produce what it should be. And if you speak life and positiveness into it, it's going to flourish and grow. And then they say humans are what, like 70, 80% water? So if you always saying, you ain't this, you ain't that, you ain't never going to be nothing, I can't stand you, I hate you, that individual grows up broken, and then he becomes a menace to the neighborhood, because it was always from his birth hearing and being spoke to negatively by his parents, by his aunts, by his uncles, and all those that he was growing up by. You might even call them the black sheep of the family. And they grow up to be that menace because they showed no love. So his growth and his movement is deformed. It's not right. He's doing things that like, why did you do that? I have no idea. But we have the idea. We know what was going on, how Satan was in the mix to cause these individuals, men and women and children, older and younger, to be deformed in the way that they act. Actions that are not comely or seemly to the Most High. So let's read on. Call, where you at?
Philo, the Judean Special Laws, Book 2, 218.
Go ahead.
And he delivered those who were being insulted and enduring every kind of perfidious oppression, not only leading them forth to freedom, but even giving them in addition a most fertile land.
Go ahead.
For it is from the fruits of this land, O bounteous Abba, that we now bring you the first fruits, if indeed it is a proper expression to say that he who receives them from you brings them to you. For, O Master, they are all your favors and your gifts, of which you have taught us worthy, and so enabled us to live comfortably and to rejoice in unexpected blessings which thou hast given us, who did not expect them.
So in conclusion of this particular portion of this class, we have shown you that Philo had mentioned about a feast of Feast of Weeks in the winter side that was similar to the Feast of Weeks in the summer side. So when we say there's a Feast of Weeks in the summer and there's a Feast of Weeks in the winter, that there is a butterfly effect that is coming from not only the scriptures, but also a historian who knows, who understands, who in his time in that first century, they were still keeping, but it was beginning to fade away. And then after the first century, it was all over with. It just faded away to where we only keep the feast up until really the 7th month, because the Feast of Dedication that the Hebrew Israelites celebrate is not a high holy day. In fact, they don't have an understanding on that Feast of Dedication. But if you want to have a better understanding on it, we have classes on those Feasts of Dedication and what it really is. It was only a rededication of the temple, and they kept the Feast of Tabernacles that 7 days. This is why they kept it that many times. And then afterwards, whatever month and season it was, they kept the feast in the way that it should be from that time forward until the Most High, or until they actually left from keeping those commandments. And this particular time in the during the Greeks, they actually kept that even up until the time of the Messiah, the Prince. So beyond a shadow of a doubt, we proved that there is a Feast of First Fruits in the winter and Feast of First Fruits in the summer. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Uriah so he can close us out.
Khan, Shalom. Excellent class from all of the priests. Go back and pick it up in the book of Amos. I just want to bring something out, right? If we are behaving in a way in which Priest Gabar spoke of, not coming in due season, not coming at a specific time and point, not coming to bring those oblations, we'll be left without. And the Most High will essentially despise and hate our feast days. Let's get that in Amos 4 and pick it up at the 13th verse. Amos 4 and 13. So the importance of keeping these feasts, we have to make sure this isn't just for the Feast of Weeks. This is for each and every feast. All 52 weeks, that's Shabbat. The feast is a high holy day. Feast of Tabernacles, Feast of Unleavened Bread, Feast of Weeks, both sides. Day of Atonement. We have to afflict our souls on Day of Atonement. All of these different things, or should I say, all these different feasts we must keep. And when we don't, detrimental things start to happen. Let's get Amos 4, verse 13.
For lo, he that formeth the mountains and createth the wind, and declare unto man what is his thought, that maketh the morning darkness, and tread upon the high places of the earth. The Most High, the Abba Yahweh of hosts, is his name.
Jump up to verse 10.
I have sent among you the pestilence after the manner of Egypt.
So we already know pestilence comes forth from the cursed winds. If we are not aligned, misbehaving, being lackadaisical, lazy, that pestilence will take our whole crops, our whole field. And in the seventh covenant, that pestilence will overtake our minds. Because that's what this Feast of Weeks is now. It's spiritual. It's in our mind. That's where we get the fruits of the Spirit. Go ahead.
Your young men have I slain with the sword, and have taken away your horses. And I have made the stink of your camps to come up unto your nostrils.
Look at that. We got today, brothers not keeping this feast. Right now, who was keeping this feast on the winter side? Nobody, literally. Well, the house of wisdom. And I don't say that to be arrogant or boastful, but it's the truth. This is factual. Ask any camp leader. Hey, you keep the Feast of Weeks on the winter side? Wait, what Feast of Weeks?
Yeah.
There's only one day.
They're going to look at you like you crazy.
Yeah. Ain't no Feast of Weeks. You know, they get all aggressive. But like I said, this isn't to tear them down, but this is just to show how the Most High, well, let's see what he said. Read that again.
And have taken away your horses, and have made the stink of your camps to come up unto your nostrils.
Just like in the times of Moses when we were in the wilderness, we consumed those quails and it was horrible. You know the story. Let's read.
Yet have ye not returned unto me.
So after this, after the house of wisdom has been preaching and teaching about this feast, we still don't want to come back and return to the Most High. Keep reading.
Says the Most High Abba Yahweh. I have overthrown some of you.
Well, we see that today. Brothers don't want to keep the feast. All right, don't worry about it. You ain't going to have no stomach. You ain't going to have no tongue. You ain't going to be able to do nothing. It's just going to be a drought. Keep reading.
As Abba Yahweh overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah.
And we know what happened with Sodom and Gomorrah. Fire and brimstone. It became a proverb. Hey, don't be like Sodom and Gomorrah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's going to happen. Don't be like Lot's wife. But this is what's going on today. Brothers and sisters don't want to keep and I don't even think it's about they don't want. It's just they don't know, as Priest Gabari said. But if you don't know, what should you do? Be like the Bereans and find out. I'm sure some of the people around the world, the camps, they've seen House of Wisdom teach on the Feast of Weeks. Inquire about it. Don't just say, them House of Wisdom brothers too deep, man. They need to chill. Just keep it basic. No, how about you come and inquire about these things so that you can please the Most High too? Let's read.
Verse 11. And ye were as a firebrand plucked out of the burning.
Look, we're supposed to be purged by the fire. Most of us say you getting taken away from the fire. So ain't no purge. That means you just full of what? You just full of sin. Let's read.
Yet have ye not returned unto me.
A second time, you still ain't going to return. I done plucked you out the fire. You still don't get it yet? Let's read.
Says the Most High Abba Yahweh. Verse 12. Therefore thus will I do unto thee, O Israel. And because I will do this unto thee, prepare to meet thy Abba Yahweh, O Israel.
So get ready to meet the maker, the creator. And for all those who don't know, it is not pleasant to meet the creator when you're on the opposite side of righteousness. Isaiah said, woe is me, for I am undone. And he was going to teach the people. So imagine what would it be like if you wicked. Man, that's detrimental. Woo-wee. Let's read.
Verse 13. For lo, he that formeth the mountains and created the wind.
Let's drop that. Pick it up at Amos 5 and verse 21. Amos 5 and 21. So we're using this to correlate to the Feast of Weeks on, listen, you're not coming, you're not doing that research, you're not checking these things out that we're saying. This is what's going to take place. But let's keep reading.
I despise your feast day.
Right. So I understand, we did jump, but when you make the correlation, you say, look, you've been plucked out of the fire. The stink shall come out of your nostrils. You're going to have to meet the Most High. You say, look, I hate. So read that again.
I despise your feast
Look
day.
at that. You don't want to come in due season, proper order, how we're supposed to, how it was commanded by the Most High Yahweh through Moses. The Most High, man, he's angry. He's furious. He's like, look, I'm not messing with none of you Hebrews. I hate and despise your feast days. Keep reading.
And I will not smell your solemn assembly.
So that sweet smelling savor that the Most High like, that Adam gave up, he won't even see it. He'll turn his back from it. Go ahead.
Emphasis on your. Because you might be thinking, well, didn't Abba give it to us? Yes, he did, but they wasn't keeping what he gave to him. So it became your feast days that the Most High was like, I ain't tell you to do all of that. That's yours. That's not mine. I despised them.
That's right. Come on. Keep going.
Verse 22. Though ye offer me burnt offerings and your meat offerings, I will not accept them.
He won't accept them because of these things. Read.
Neither will I regard the peace offering of your fat
What the Most High loves. His peace offerings, he say, look, I don't even want that either. Let's go.
Verse 23. So thou always away from me the noise of thy songs.
So he said, look, don't even give me those psalms. And you already know the psalms is included in the oblations. That means he's not taking nothing. Zero. Zilch. Go ahead.
For I will not hear the melody of thy vows.
I go over to Amos chapter 9, verse 9.
For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted in a sieve. Yet shall not the least grain fall upon
So
you.
as the Most High teaches us to be agrarian, he's using that same thing. It ain't going to be no corn left. It mean it ain't going to be no Israelites left. All y'all shall be sifted out. Y'all don't want to keep my feast days according to how I commanded it. You don't even have to worry about it. All y'all going to be taken away. And eventually we were taken away. We were led into captivity. Verse 10.
All sinners of my people shall die by the sword, which say, the evil shall not overtake nor prevent us.
You know what they say? Well, we keep the Most High's law, statutes, commandments to the best of our ability.
Yeah.
Well, the evil shall overtake you by saying that. It's not to the best of your ability. It's law, statute, commandment. That's what he said. That's what it is. There's nothing else to talk about. All right. Go ahead and drop that, right? For the sake of time, we're running on time. We're going to conclude in Tobit. As we started in Tobit, we're going to conclude in Tobit on its 50th day, most high willing. Let's go over to get Tobit 1 and pick it up at the 3rd verse. So in these 50 days, we should have been doing just like Tobit. No different. Go ahead.
I, Tobit, have walked all the days of my life in the ways of truth.
In truth and justice. Keep reading.
And I did many awesome deeds to my brethren and my nation who came with me to Naive into the land of the Assyrians.
So when he was in the land of Nineveh, he made sure he took care of them, provided for them, and rendered the virtue, or should I say, render giving to the homeless, storing up that virtue, as we're commanded to do in this Feast of Weeks. Verse 5.
Now all the tribes which gathered revolted.
They revolted. They said, we're not going to keep the feast. What are we going to do?
And the house of my father Naphtali sacrificed unto the heifer Baal.
Unto that heifer. All right, verse 6.
But I alone went often to Jerusalem at the feast.
There it is. Boom. Say it one more time.
I
Checkmate.
Went often to Jerusalem after the feast.
So
Checkmate.
Checkmate once again. He went up to the feast. Which feast? He said, "By alone went often to Jerusalem at the feast." Plural, meaning multiple. Go ahead.
as it was ordained unto all the people of Israel by the everlasting decree.
By an everlasting decree. This means it does not stop. So we already know we see brothers in the new covenant, or they think they're in the new covenant, say, oh, we ain't got to do nothing but love.
Yeah.
Priest Rashim, grab me Romans 3:31. We'll clear that up real quick.
Pure
It said, of Israel by an everlasting decree. Grab that Romans, pause on that Tobit 1:6, and grab that Romans 3:31. We'll clear up the misnomer that when we come into the new covenant, or those who think they're in the new covenant, all they got to do is love. Well, you can't love if you ain't keeping the commandments. I mean, if you want to show affection to your brother and sister, absolutely. You could do that. But love is keeping those commandments. But what is the love of the Most High? To keep his commandments. Simple. It's not mysterious. All right, get that Romans 3. We'll clear that up right now. Romans 3:31. Then jump right back to Tobit 1:6. Go ahead, priest.
Do we then make void the law?
Do we take away the law? What did it say?
Do we then make void the law?
Go ahead.
Through faith? Abba forbid.
Most High Abba Yahweh forbid. What do we do?
Yea, we establish the law.
What are we doing here? We're establishing the law, those peace offerings, those Thanksgiving offerings, those new covenant sacrifices. All right, we could drop that. Go back over to Tobit chapter 1:6.
I alone went often to Jerusalem at the feast, as it was ordained unto all the people of Israel by an everlasting decree. Having the first fruits.
There it is. Once again, having the first fruits. Keep going.
And tenths of increase.
And the tithes. I'm bringing that to Jerusalem. You guarantee he doing it. You guarantee most are willing that we'll continue to do that year in and year out until we return to the city of Adam. Keep reading.
With that which was first sworn, and them gave I at the altar to the priests, the children of Aaron.
Right. Now, why did it say the priests, the children of Aaron? Because those are the ones who gave that sheaf, that wave sacrifice. All right, for the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and close it out. And we know that in the first week of the Feast of Weeks with the angels and demons, it was brought out about what Tobit was doing. We're recapping it on the last week, this 7th week, the 50th day, the same thing. So in this Feast of Weeks, we all should have been doing what Tobit was doing. Giving to the homeless, burying the dead, making sure that they were taken care of, going up to Jerusalem to bring those tithes. Priest Rashim, pick it up at Tobit chapter 2 and verse 1. So his son, Tobit had a son, he was doing something identical. Let's go.
Now, when I was come home again, and my wife Anna was restored unto me with my son Tobias.
And where? In the what?
In the Feast of Pentecost.
In the Feast of Pentecost.
Come
there
on.
it is right there.
There it is.
So you see what he say, man. Look, you keep this feast. You ain't got to worry about nothing. The Most High going to take care of you. You don't keep the feast and you go worship that heifer Baal, that abomination. Oh, destruction. You shall be destroyed by the destroyer. All right, we could finish. Go ahead and finish that up.
Which is the holy feast of the 7 weeks. There was a good dinner prepared me, in which I sat down to eat.
Let's jump for the sake of time. This is a powerful chapter. Read it on your own. But for the sake of time, let's jump down to verse 6. For all those, which we just read in Amos, for all those who don't keep the feast. We just talked about that. But let's read verse 6.
Remembering that the prophecy of Amos, as he said, your feast shall be turned into mourning, and all your mirth into lamentation.
So now as we're in this new covenant, this more great, beneficial, benevolent covenant, we can now return back to the Most High and keep all his feasts. There's no more mysterious like the Feast of Castus, Cornucopia. There's no more mystery. It's clear, concise, and pure. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and close this portion of the class down, and we're going to open the floor up for Q&A.
I want to just bring out one more scripture before we go. Can somebody give me Jubilee 6? I want to bring out something that we didn't bring out. and Jubilee 6, and then we can go ahead and move forward. I think this is important for everybody to know. As soon as you guys get it, go ahead and read it. And again, it's dealing with the Feast of Weeks and how important it is. Jubilees chapter 6. And give me the 17th verse.
For this reason, it is ordained and written on the heavenly tables.
It's talking about the Feast of Weeks. It is written on the heavenly tables. It is fixed. You cannot change it. Even if you don't celebrate it, you cannot change it. It is what is being done not only in the heavens, but also it should be done on the earth. Go ahead.
That they should celebrate the Feast of Weeks in this month once a year.
Once in the cycle, once in the circuit. Go ahead.
To renew the covenant every year.
Right. So the way when the months that we celebrated in the first circuit is the beginning of the 4th month. But you got all Israelites celebrating it in the 1st month, which is crazy. Scriptures don't tell you to do that. We broke it down already. So it's the 4th month in the 1st cycle and the 10th month in the 2nd cycle. Well, go ahead.
Verse 18. And this whole festival was celebrated in heaven.
It was what?
Celebrated in heaven.
So how is it going to change? Some of you say we don't got to keep them anymore, but they still keep it in the heavens. Why are we not? Go ahead.
From the day of creation to the days of Noah, 26 jubilees and 5 weeks of years. And Noah and his sons observed it for 7 jubilees and 1 week of years, to the day of Noah's death. And from the day of Noah's death, his sons did away with it until the days of Abraham.
So Noah kept it. His sons kept it. But then after Noah passed away, they didn't keep it anymore until Abraham came on the scene and Abraham observed it. Go ahead.
In the latter part of verse 18, and they ate blood.
Go ahead.
Verse 19, but Abraham observed it, and Isaac and Jacob, and his children observed it up to thy days. And in thy days the children of Israel forgot it until ye celebrated it anew on this mountain.
Go ahead.
And do thou command the children of Israel to observe this festival in all their generations for a commandment unto them. 1 day in the year in this month they shall celebrate the festival, for it is the Feast of Weeks and the Feast of First Fruits.
So we all know, even all the Hebrews know to keep the Feast of Weeks, but what you don't know is this. Go ahead.
This feast is twofold.
It's twofold. The butterfly effect. There it is again. Once again. Go ahead.
It is of a double nature.
Double nature. Summer and winter. It's right here in the scriptures. Go ahead.
According to what is written and engraven concerning it, celebrate it.
See that? So with that, we can go ahead and close that up. This is plain and simple right here in the scriptures, brought out to you plain.
Well, we're going to go ahead and open it up for Q&A once again. Questions to the audience first, then we'll check out online. Got those questions for this round table? Let's see what we got today.
Yeah. So we got a question from the audience. Go ahead.
Shabbat Shalom, all praises, priest. Classes on point.
Shalom.
Indeed. I got 2 questions today. This first question, forgive me for my ignorance per se, but it's in regards to the 7th year of rest. You said that like during that 7th year, all the crops are supposed to grow, and then you're supposed to just like not really harvest it, but let it fall to the ground so that it can kind of like whatever you want to call
Fertilize.
it. Yeah, re-fertilize.
Nutrient rich.
During that time of like that 7th year of rest, if the saints weren't supposed to harvest, like were they like not eating? Like
no, they were eating. When you're dealing with the harvest, right? When it was time for harvest, you harvest everything except what the scriptures say. You left the corners for those that were poor to come in and eat of that. So you got everything. But this year you didn't. You just got enough for your family to eat and left the rest. So you didn't go and harvest everything and do what was necessary. You just left it. So it all fell to the ground, everything decayed, and then that soil became rich while the land was resting. So,
I want to add on that too.
Con.
Right on point. You know, people think like you're not harvesting, you're not going to eat. But look at what what the Most High did with Moses in Egypt or in the wilderness. When he told them, gave them the commandment, do not go and harvest this manna on the 7th day. I'm going to give you enough on the 6th day, the last 2 days.
There it is.
The Most High is going to do the same thing. On that 6th year, I'm going to give you a bountiful harvest to last enough for a whole year. You're going to stock up the storehouses. And that's what we're doing as we build up the tithes. We've been working on the wine, the yayan. Man, we got drums of wine fermenting. The Most High has the Spirit on us to fill up the storehouse. We got so many bottles that Abba willing is going to last us for a minute. So the Most High is going to bless it to the point where you don't have to worry. You're going to eat. Now, somebody who doesn't trust Abba is going to say, I need to harvest. I need to pick these grapes because what happens if I don't have any? But we can't be like that. We have to trust that the Most High is going to take care of us if we keep his commandment.
All praises. Perfect understanding right there.
Definitely. All right, and for my second, it's not per se a question, but kind of just want to bring something out. As earlier you guys was talking about the brothers who only they die hard about just the 66, you know, in Apocrypha or whatnot, right? But it was a class that Chief Priest brought back a while back, and I would like for you guys to bring this out again, like, you know, just so they know. But it's 2nd Esdras, chapter 14. You can start at verse 38 and go all the way to 48. Yeah. And
that's another class.
But this is for the brothers that's die hard about the 66. It's a cold cutter right here. Cut them up.
The cold cutter. Give us the verse again.
You got 2nd Esdras, chapter 14, verses 38 through 48.
10 verses. Go ahead. Who got it?
Second Ezra, chapter 14 and verse 38. And the next day, behold, a voice called me, saying, Ezra, open thy mouth and drink that I give thee to drink. Then I opened my mouth, and behold, he reached me a full cup, which was full, as it were, with water, but the color of it was like fire. And I took it and drank. And when I had drunk of it, my heart uttered understanding, and wisdom grew in my breast, for my spirit strengthened my memory. And my mouth was open and shut no more. The highest gave understanding unto the 5 men, and they wrote the wonderful visions that night that were told, which they knew not. And they sat 40 days, and they wrote in the day, and at the night they ate bread. As for me, I spake in the day, and I held not my tongue by night. In 40 days they wrote 204 books. And it came to pass, when the 40 days were filled, that the highest spake, saying, the first that thou hast written, publish openly, that the worthy and the unworthy may read it. But keep the 70 last, that thou mayest deliver them only to such as be wise among the people. For in them is the spring of understanding, the fountain of wisdom, and the stream of knowledge.
Really?
And I did so.
So be it.
So when you look at that, right, in correlation to that, the 66 is for the just and the unjust. But for those that be wise, will only delve into these other books and be given the Spirit by the Heavenly Father to delve into these other books to learn more. But the 66, as you can see, to the just and the unjust, only the wise will rise above those 66 and come to the other understanding of those books and become wise. So, great scripture. You got to read these other books. If you don't, you got to read these other books, man. This is going to give you a broader understanding of what Abba is looking for. So, do we have any more from the audience? If not, we can go to go online.
Any extra questions? Now is the time to pose them. All right.
Come on up. She got the calendar with her. Watch out. That question is going to be deep. He pulling that calendar out on us. All praises. Yeah, come on up.
Shalom, priest.
Shabbat shalom.
Praise to the Most High. Okay. So I love my study guide. Everybody, if you don't have you one, go get you one.
There's a good plug right there.
Let me tell you.
Go get all of them.
I'm always checking, like, let me see if this adds up. And it always adds up. And this has helped me out so much.
Y'all didn't know that she was a Berean.
Yeah.
I always try to sneak and ask my question. So let me just ask now, so I don't have to run up on y'all later. So, anyways, so you mentioned that our months don't have names. Is that what you were saying? That it's like just numbers?
We have first month, second month, all the way to the 12th month.
Okay, because I noticed in the calendar that it didn't.
Priest Hannah, grab First Chronicles 27. We'll clear that up real quick. Mm-hmm. So you got the course of David. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Apologies.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
No,
all right, Priest Hannah is going to clear that up. There's probably a question that some may not have the courage to ask, because the power and authority that's being forth. All right, but we're going to go ahead and get that, right? Start at the first verse. First Chronicles chapter 27 and verse 1. So what covenant are we in? And who was the covenant bearer of the seventh covenant?
David.
And what did David set up?
Mm-hmm.
He set up the lots. What else did he set up? David set up a lot of stuff. Worship, holy singers, structure, peace porters, singers, everything. Where did he get this from? In heaven. As it said, lo, I come in the volume of the book, Psalms 40. But so we're going to get this clarity in First Chronicles chapter 27, verse 1.
Now the children of Israel, after their number, to wit, the chief fathers and captains of thousands and hundreds, and their officers that served the king in many manner of their courses, which came in and went out mouth by mouth.
Month by month, meaning first month, second, all the way to the 12th.
Throughout all the months of the year and every course.
A course, we have the course of David. Go ahead.
Were 20 and 4,000.
20 and 4,000 each month. Verse 2.
Over the first course of the first month were Jeshabim.
Jeshabim. When you were looking at the calendar, what month were you at?
I'm in the first month. Right
okay, so what that first month say?
Is this Yashabim?
Jeshabim. So read that again, verse 2.
Over the first course of the first month was Jeshabim.
So in the course of David, that title was titled as Yeshabim. And how many was in his course? 20 and 4,000. Let's jump up to the verse 9. So we got the first month and all the way first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Verse 9.
The sixth captain for the 6th month was Ira.
How many was in his course?
20 and 4,000.
All right. So
and notice what it said. These are the captains. So these months was named after the captains.
Right. In the course of David.
So I want to say this because if you go into Noah, it doesn't have any names. Noah, when it speaks of the events that took place before and during the flood and after the flood, was always numbers of months, not names. But in David's time, in this course, he set up captains and named these months after the captains. So this is what he's reading, and this is what we're following. Go ahead.
That 9th verse.
The 6th captain for the 6th month was Ira, the son of Ikish, the Hittite. And in his course was 20 and 4,000.
All right. So if we do the math, 24,000 times 6. Who's a mathematician in here? 24,000 times 6. First 6 months. All right. We got 20 and 4,000 in each course from the first month all the way to the 6th month. Right. So the first 6 months, we have complete worship. The summer season, we got 100% complete worship.
Yeah,
from
the first course is complete.
From the first course of David with Yeshabim to the 6th course of David, or the 6th month, I should say, with Ira, we got 144,000. All right, now let's go over to the 10th verse. Priest Johanna, go ahead and read that. You could just read the name and then who was in his course.
The 7th captain for the 7th month was Heliz, and in his course were 24,000.
All right, now let's jump to the 15th verse. Oh, well, we'll look at the 14th. Matter of fact, just get to the 15th. Go ahead.
The 12th captain for the 12th month was H.O.W, and his course were 24,000.
So now on the winter side, we got the 7th month, right? The captain was Heliz, and all the way up to verse 15, where it talks about the 12th month, H.O.W was another 24,000. How many is that? Another 144,000. How much is that total? 288,000. So that means every day of the year, every moment, every second, oblations, worship was going up to the Most High. So I hope that clarifies your question.
It does. And, okay, because I was wondering what these names were on the calendar, but now I completely understand.
All praises to the Most High.
Yes.
All praises.
There it is. Hallelujah. I knew it was coming.
My friend.
I knew it was coming. Come on.
A question for my friend?
Yeah, and everybody should be familiar with this sister right here. Yeah. Like the sister said, we usually get her online, but she's here in the flesh at the feast. Come on, sister. Come ask the question. Come on up.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Hey, tell them who you are.
My name is Makisha Harrison.
Hey.
The infamous. All right. So my question was, so in the up into the 6 years, we would reap the harvest as we were going over in the class. And in the 7th year, the fruits and everything would just have to fall. Like you don't put the sickle to the corn, so to speak, kind of like what, if I understood that correctly. So then how would you celebrate the feast, say on the Sabbath year, that 7th year of rest, when you don't necessarily put that sickle to the harvest or plow with your wood shears?
So it was like you already done bought out. You know, in the 6th year, everything was stored up double. Mm-hmm. And the Most High preserved it until that year was over with. So we stored up before that year entered in. So we had enough, for us to eat until that particular year was over. Mm-hmm. And it's almost just like how it's shy multiplying the bread. Mm. It's multiplying these foods or keeping them fresh until the season was over for us to now go and to reap the harvest again. So with food that was stored up.
Thank you.
That's it? All right. So do we have any questions online?
All right, so we got the first question from Brother Dexter Misham. Says, Shalom, priest.
Shabbat Shalom.
Says, according to the 6th commandment, in Exodus 34 to 22nd verse, the KJV, the LXX, and the Geneva speaks of the wheat harvest and ingathering at year's end. How does this apply to this winter's Feast of Weeks?
Well, like we spoke of before, it depends on what year's end is it talking about. So if it's the time of the wheat harvest, and I think the wheat, I don't know if did we read wheat as a winter or summer? Okay, it's a summer. So at the year's end, you would harvest that crop and then offer it before the Most High. So the year's end was the ending of that first circuit, that first year. the summer circuit. So that's it on that? Okay. Hopefully we answered your question on that.
We have the second question from Brother Dexter Mitchell. He says, Deuteronomy 26, verse 1 through 2 suggests that the grain offerings did not occur in the 40 years of wandering in the wilderness, but after they crossed over into the promised land under Joshua, right?
Can you repeat that again?
He said Deuteronomy 26, verse 1 through 2 suggests that grain offerings did not occur in the 40 years of wandering in the wilderness, but after they crossed over into the promised land under Joshua, right?
So what's the question?
Did the grain offerings occur after they crossed over during the 40 years into the promised land?
Yeah, absolutely. During the 40 years, what did they eat? They ate manna. Then they started crying for the leeks and the melons, and they wanted that meat. And the Most High, I'll give you meat, all right. And he flooded them with the quail. But for the most part, they ate that manna until they crossed over, because when they crossed over, there was crops that was there from the land that they took over. So they didn't eat it until after they crossed over. But prior to that, they ate the manna. So, all right, y'all are done coming to give the more perfect understanding.
No, that's an error. That after not what you said, but what Dexter was asking is that the meat offering did start until after 40 years in the wilderness. That's not the case. That manna was their meat offering. Mm-hmm. That was the oblation. That was the sacrifice. They weren't just eating just because they wanted to eat. They were eating because they were offering sacrifices to Heavenly Father. It said they beat it together with oil, and it became like, it tasted like that oil. It tasted like that sacrifice. It was a grain offering in the wilderness. That's exactly what it was.
Adam gave up grain offerings.
Absolutely.
Noah gave up grain offerings.
And Adam gave angelic meat offerings with
Seth
angelic
did as well.
bread,
Absolutely.
yeah, angelic food, just like that manna was. So absolutely, they were giving up meat offerings in the wilderness. And then, like you said, even Abraham was given tithes through Melchizedek. Why would the Most High have a righteous person giving sacrifices and have it stop in the wilderness for 40 years? Absolutely not. They were giving up sacrifices all day, every day for 40 years.
There it is. And I guess I misunderstood the question, but there it was.
Real good clarity with that.
So yeah, they didn't have any crops that they had to eat of, but the manna was what they ate and also sacrificed. Just to be clear again on that.
So the third question from Brother Dexter said,
Dexter, hot boy.
Coming in.
Go ahead, Dex.
He said, where does How get their grapes, wheat, oil, incense from if not producing in-house?
I'll answer that one. We go to vineyards, and we personally, as a matter of fact, I'm glad Dexter asked that question. This summer, we are preparing to go to a vineyard, and we're hoping that all the saints in the covenant come with us and help us pick those vineyards. They grow local grapes here in the South called muscadines. This is one of our signature grapes here. And we got organic vineyards that grow them because we don't have the land just yet. Sequentially, the next step for us is to get the land. So let's work together so we can get our acreage and we can get our trellis posts and we can grow our own. Exactly. But up until then, we have to try and trust trusted vineyards to grow them for us. And they promise that their grapes are organic, non-GMO. And we, go and check it out at times. And true indeed, they are, of upstanding character and whatnot. So we pick our own grapes. And as Yeridun said, we have drums of them right now in the first and second fermenting process. So we do everything here locally. When it comes to the wine or the oil or the corn, we make sure that our vineyards or orchards are all organic. And so we do everything we can to make sure everything is non-GMO. And as I said before, sequentially, the next step is us having our own land to be able to produce everything on our own. All right, that's the answer to that one.
All praise. Any more questions, Maya Ka'ala? That's it.
All right, so now we're going to continue to feast in the presence of the Most High Abba Yahweh in this 50th day on the Feast of Weeks. And Most High willing, we'll be bringing forth that offering so that we can get a blessing, prepare for the 12th month, so that in the first month we may have a plenteous and bountiful Hebrew New Year. May peace and blessings be multiplied. Shalom.
Shalom.